What up, what up, what up? It's your boy Beast Coast Grower 420 back with another podcast stream. Today we will be talking about tents versus rooms. The differences that you're going to experience growing in a tent versus growing in a room. So yeah, make sure that y'all get over to Instagram and let people know that we live over here on YouTube. Make sure that y'all share the stream. Make sure y'all give me a thumbs up or thumbs down, however you feel. Go ahead. We're going to get into some real talk. Remember, nobody on here is sponsored by anything. Nobody on here owes any good remarks to anybody. So we here to keep it real. I don't care what breeder. I don't care what company. We don't owe anybody any favors. This is a spot where we can keep it real 24/7. So today, podcast number 5, we're going to talk about tents versus rooms and the differences that occur when you're growing in a tent versus growing in a room, because people just assume you can grow any way that you want to, no matter if you're in a tent or if you're in a room, and the differences are going to vary. So today we are going to have this conversation. Yo, Frosty, let me know. Yo, Frosty, go ahead and put in the chat if you want to get in on this so I can send you the link. I'm just gonna give me 1 second while I go ahead and post this into my stories on IG. You guys go ahead and do the same and let them know we over on Beast Coast Grower 420 and we live streaming right now. So you guys take a second to go ahead and do the same thing. And actually, you know what? We will rock out for a second while we do this. So let's rock out and go ahead and share the stream and do everything that we need to do. So let's go. 30 rounds in the clip, 40 hanging with the drum, yeah. You can catch about 100 hollows, nigga, you ain't heard what I done, yeah. Spin the block up in the Maserati, got 100 P's in the trunk, side coming from the west, I can get you any flavor that you want, yeah. Have you little niggas capping, you ain't never caught a package, you ain't never moved a packs, you ain't bust shots, nigga, you just rapping, hood coming from the west coast, so it's golf gang what I'm stacking, wrong move, I had you 6 feet, so it's no time to be lacking, calling my phone whenever I get it, it's gone. Time to go and beat the streets. Never been stunting for none of these niggas. You run up on me, you know I got the heat. 10 toes down, I stayed in the trenches, but all of my hitters serving all the peace. Moving around, take over wherever I'm found. You niggas better take a seat. Always been ducking, dodging the police. Oh shit. Yeah, the boy Frosty cutting the room down. Go ahead and get your work done, bro. Get your work done. Don't worry, we still got some other people that are going to join in here. You know, 813 Genetics going to be in the building once he noticed that we live. Y'all go ahead and get this thing shared over to your Instagram, shared over to Facebook, whatever you want to. Witching Hour, what's happening with you? Patrick, oh, Frosty sent you. See, that's why that's my guy right there, man. That boy Frosty McNasty be supporting. And y'all make sure that everybody who's not following Frosty McNasty on Instagram and following Frosty McNasty on YouTube, y'all get over there and give him a follow if y'all want to see some doors open. And you'll know what I'm talking about after you watch enough of his videos and you see enough doors opening, because it gets me hype every time I see a new door open. That's Mr. Doors right there. So y'all get over there right now and let people know that this is somebody who you need to follow if you're trying to get educated. So let's go. 30 rounds in the clip, 40 hanging with the drum, yeah. You can catch about 100 hollows, nigga, you ain't heard what I done, yeah. Spin the block up in the Maserati, got 100 P's in the trunk, side coming from the west, I can get you any flavor that you want, yeah. Have you little niggas capping, you ain't never caught a package, you ain't never moved a packs, you ain't bust shots, nigga, you just rapping, hood coming from the west coast, so it's golf gang what I'm stacking, wrong move, I had you 6 feet, so it's no time to be lacking, calling my phone whenever I get it, it's gone. Time to go and feed the streets. Never been stunting for none of these niggas. You run up on me, you know I got the heat. 10 toes down, I stayed in the trenches, but all of my hitters serving all the peace. Moving around, take over wherever I'm found. You niggas better take a seat. Always been ducking, dodging the police. Never been known for moving all the keys. Always been known for moving all the P's and roll with some hitters, throwing up them C's. Make so much money, thought it was a dream. You mentioned my name, I'm about to make a scene. Won't be your leg, I'm aiming at your screen, and you'll get your picture put up on the T. Smell the OG, you gotta know it's me. Yeah. You already know. So I done got this thing shared up. I thank everybody every time that you guys join us. I want to give you guys a special thank you for joining in on this podcast, because where would my podcast be without y'all? Where would my podcast be without y'all? Where would my channel be without y'all? Who would I be talking to without y'all? So I thank you guys so much for all the thumbs up, even the thumbs down, because I don't always want people that agree with me. I'm not a yes man. I don't want the people that's always just, yeah, Beast Coast Grower, you go. Yeah, yo, Beast Coast Grower, I agree with you 100%. No, I want the people that disagree with me as well as the people who agree with me. I want real talk. So if I say something and somebody has some facts that can negate what I'm saying, I want those people. Those people are welcomed into this podcast. If I say something about a company or a genetic company, I want those people that are going to disagree with me. I want all of that, because that's what brings healthy conversation. I got to say, one of the number one problems with society today is the fact that we can't take constructive criticism, is the fact that we can't take healthy advice, is the fact that we can't take somebody opposing the argument that we putting forth, even if they have better information, even if they're more well versed, even if they're more well studied. We still can't take advice from people who know more than us, and I don't like that. I like to get the information from the people who know about the information. So if you don't agree with me or you have something that you want to say, please get over to the Real Talk Cannabis podcast, because this is a place for you to voice your opinion. Now, anybody else who wants to join in on the stream, you know we're going to have 813 Genetics on here. You don't even have to worry about that. No Limit, thank you for being in the building as a moderator. You always looking out, making sure that you posting the links to the Instagram accounts, making sure you're doing everything that you need to. I thank you a ton for that, and I'm going to make sure that I look out for you. Don't even worry about that. KS was good with you. Organic Herbs 420 was good with you. Patrick was good with you. Fuck All That was good with you. Thank you, everybody, for joining in. If you don't mind, get over to your stories on Instagram and go ahead and post that. We live on Beast Coast Grower 420 on YouTube, and we're having a Real Talk Cannabis podcast about tents versus grow rooms and the differences that's gonna occur when you deal with growing in a tent versus growing in a grow room, because it's gonna be very different if you have that sheetrock. It's gonna be very different if you have insulated walls. It's gonna be very different when it comes to what type of air conditioning and what type of HVAC systems you can use. It's gonna be a big difference as to how you're gonna be able to grow in a tent. So you guys go ahead and let people know that we're having this conversation, and for y'all to get in. African Don, look, I don't even know who you are, African Don, but just by your name, I fucks with you off rip. What is happening with you? We got Jordan Williams in the building. What's happening with you, gang? I see you in the building. You already know. I thank you guys for being in here. Just, if you don't mind, give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down and give this a share over to your account. And today we're going to talk about tents versus rooms, because I hate the just generic, this is the way that you need to grow, and if you're not growing this way, then you're not growing the proper way. I don't like that. I like that where people like to assess the way that you're growing, where people like to assess the situation that you're in, where people like to assess the circumstances that you have to deal with, because you may have to deal with circumstances that I don't have to deal with, because I'm in a room and you're in a tent, and things are going to be very different. I may be able to fit a bigger air conditioning. You can't get a mini split in the tent. You're not going to be able to get it. High Desert Blooms was happening with you, man. So yeah, I'll be able to get a mini split into my room. You guys might not be able to get a mini split into your room. You might have to use a dual duct unit. You might have to use a different kind of unit than I will be using. You might not be able to use a unit at all if you plan on using up all of the floor space that you have inside of your tent, because your tent might be in a room and you might have to use a window unit to cool the room off and exhaust through the tent to be able to cool your tent off. So there is different circumstances that is going to come with the way that you need to grow. So what I need y'all to do is go ahead and share this. Just give me a few more seconds to be able to get the message out to the rest of the people that we are live, and we'll go ahead and rock out for just give me like 10 or 15 more seconds to rock out while I get this message out to the rest of the people. Thank you very much. Just give me 1 second and we'll rock out. Let's go. Yeah. 30 rounds in the clip, 40 hanging with the drum, yeah. You can catch about 100 hollows, nigga, you ain't heard what I done, yeah. Spin the block up in the Maserati, got 100 P's in the trunk, side coming from the west side, can get you any flavor that you want, yeah. Have you little niggas capping, you ain't never caught a package, you ain't never moved a packs, you ain't bust shots, nigga, you just rapping, hood coming from the west coast, so let's go all the bees. Moving around, take over wherever I'm found. You niggas better take a seat. Always been ducking, dodging the police. Never been known for moving all the keys. Always been known for moving all the peas. And roll with some hitters, throwing up them C's. Make so much money, thought it was a dream. You mention my name, I'm about to make a scene. Won't be your leg, I'm aiming at your spleen. And you'll get your picture put up on the T. Smell of your G, you gotta know it's me. Mac of the runs, I got 'em in the threes. Stack if you want 'em by the quarter P's. If you want the load, then why you calling me? Trying to do 30, 40 for the week. Your feet on my youngest running in the streets. Count up 100 before I go to sleep. Wake up and I'm back to getting all the G's. Yo, bitch, you want me all up in the sheets. But I'm about this money, bitch, you got to leave. Out by the ocean trying to catch a breeze. The smoke is so potent in my newest beat. Hustle, I got the motion to a T. I don't got to talk to you about the seat. Got some new music about to hit the streets. When you hear my voice, you're gonna know it's me. Yeah, 30 rounds in the clip. 40 hanging with the drum. Yeah, you can catch about 100 hollows, nigga. You ain't heard what I done. Yeah, spin the block up in the Maserati. Got 100 P's in the trunk. Side coming from the west. I can get you any flavor that you want. Yeah, have you little niggas capping? You ain't never caught a package. You ain't never moved a backs. You ain't bust shots, nigga. You just rapping. Hood coming from the west coast, so it's God game, but I'm stacking. Long move, I had you 6 feet, so it's no time to be lacking. Yeah, and just like that, we are back. Thank you, everybody who's in the building. Motherland Garden, I see you done came into the building. What's happening with you? Fuck all that. You know, I already see you. A big shouts out to Frosty McNasty, my boy over there cutting down the room, so we can't really interrupt. But you know, he in the background, he in the building. Shout out to Frosty McNasty. Today, we're going to talk about tents versus grow rooms and the differences in experience that you're going to have between growing in a tent versus growing in a grow room. Things are going to be very, very different. Like Kenny Groves, what's happening? I seen the other day somebody had some massive tents, and I'm talking about like these tents were huge. These had to be like 10 by 20 Gorilla Grow tents or something. I don't know. They were some big ass tents that they had. And my first question was, instead of going in the tent when you're dealing with like 4 or 5 tents that are that big, why not just build out rooms and be able to control the environment the way that you need to? Because you're going to take up floor space by being able to need a dual duct unit in there, because you're going to have some type of AC. You're going to need some type of HVAC system. If you're inside of a system like that, you're going to need what's good with your true bully. Oh, damn, we got a bully breeder in here. What's happening with you? You know, we dog lovers over here. So yeah, you're going to need a different type of HVAC system depending on what method that you're growing with, because you can't hang a mini split from a tent. So I'm wondering, when you do these massive Gorilla Grow tents, when you do massive tents, 10 by 20 tents and 4, 5, 6 lights in a tent, what is the point in even dealing with something like that when you could just go ahead, get you some sheetrock, get you some studs, go ahead and get everything up and running, get you some wall mount fans, have some good floor space to still be able to walk around your canopy without having to deal with getting a tent big enough for you to be able to do the same thing. So I never understood the purpose of people growing in big ass tents versus just going ahead and building a room out. I would just go ahead and build a room out. That was my first thing. I never thought to grow in a tent. It wasn't my first thought. It wasn't my first idea. It wasn't something that even crossed my mind. My first thought was go ahead and build a tent. Yes, if you have any questions, go ahead and drop them in the comment section and we'll get to them as we see them. Don't worry, we got moderators in here. So even if I miss something, the moderators will go ahead and repost your comment and we'll get everything going. If my moderators don't mind, whenever you guys get a chance, go ahead and post Frosty McNasty's Instagram account, post the Beast Coast Grower Instagram account, and post a link to your Instagram account so we can get everybody connected with each other, get everybody in on these conversations, get everybody in on this dialogue, because I may be wrong about certain topics. I'm not saying I'm the end all be all. I'm not saying that I'm the best grower in the world and what I say just sticks. No, there's going to be some people who got way better information than me, because I'm not a tent grower. I'm a room grower. So I know the ins and outs of growing in a room. Somebody else might know better about the ins and outs of growing in a tent. They might know equipment that I don't know. They might know about fans that I don't know. They might know about AC units that I don't know. My first thought is, if I'm in a tent, I'm automatically going to want to go in a dual duct unit. Automatic. But then what happens if your tent isn't close enough to a window for you to be able to duct the air out and pull the air in? What happens when it's just so many problems that could come along with this, in my opinion. Now, somebody who's been crushing it in a fucking tent is going to have a way different opinion on this than I can, and they could really show you the ins and outs on this. I can't do that. I can only speak about rooms because that's what I'm known for, is rooms. I've always grown in a room. All I did was increase the size of the rooms that I grew in. So that's what I know. Yeah, even in the park. Oh, yeah. See what I mean? That those Kenny Groves put out a really good point. When you're in an apartment, you can't really afford to be drilling in the walls. You can't really afford to be damaging any sorts of property. You can't really afford to be. But Kenny Groves, there's also ways around that because you could build a room inside of a room. I don't know if you're leaving that out, but you can also build a room that is inside of a room. But if it's just easier to go ahead and throw you a couple of tents up and do it that way, throw you a window unit in there. And I'm saying make sure that the outside of the tent is nice and cool and you can duct that air into your tent. That works just as well too. But there's some people who just like I think his name is Miami Mango or something like that. D-Raz Base, what's happening? Yeah, I think his name is Miami Mango or Mango Miami, something like that. He does these really funny memes and I love them about hand watering. And I'm like, I think hand watering comes down to the size of the grow that you have. If you have a 4x4 room, you could set a watering system up, no problem. And it might save you 10 or 15 minutes out of the day. But if you're in a 4x4, you got 16 plants in a 4x4. How long is it really going to take you to hand water? So if you want to get in there and your plants are at different sizes, your plants are at different ages, you don't have the production state of mind where I'm going to cut all of my clones at the same time. I'm going to make sure that I take all of the clones that root at the same time. I'm going to veg them at the exact same time so they take up the same amount of water at the same time. Then you may need to hand water because there's going to be plants that may need water today, but there's going to be other plants that may not need water until tomorrow. So every day it's going to be a difference as to what plants need what water and what amount of water that each plant needs. So I'm not just going to automatically rule out hand watering, because I've had watering systems for the longest and I've had plants wind up overwatered because there's a plant back there in the corner that didn't need to be watered today. There's a plant back there in the corner that is getting overwatered, and then by the time I go to finish my round, there's a dead plant in the corner because it's gotten way too much water. So that's something else you got to factor in. So I'm not going to just automatically go ahead and say that there's a problem with hand watering. No, there's no problem with hand watering. If that's what works best for you, if that's what you know, if that's how you get your best crops, go ahead and hand water your plants. And once you start increasing, once you start reinvesting into yourself, once you start getting more lights, once you start getting into more space, you are going to want to save yourself the time and go ahead and build you a simple watering system. Get over to Frosty McNasty. Please, my moderators, go ahead and post Frosty McNasty's link into the chat so people can get over to Frosty McNasty so you can see that he built a simple watering system. And if you check out that apple fritter room right now, it's fucking crushing. I get a little bit more jealous every time that I see that apple fritter room because it's such a simple watering system, such a simple method. He got it up and running, no problems, and it looks beautiful. And it's a simple watering system. There's no PVC in that watering system. There's no manifolds in that watering system. It's just such a simple system that you can use to make sure that the plants are getting the amount of water that they need daily. As y'all come in, please drop me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. It doesn't matter. I just need the reactions. If you disagree with what I'm saying, give me a thumbs down. If you agree with what I'm saying, give me a thumbs up. And if you have any questions, go ahead and post the questions into the yeah. Somebody's gonna post the link for Frosty McNasty. Don't worry, we're gonna get you. Yo, look, Freddie. Freddie blogs. Get Frosty McNasty. Yeah, you'll see him in the chat. You'll see him. He's one of the moderators in the chat. Frosty McNasty. Go ahead and click his name. Get over to his YouTube channel as well as his Instagram page, and you'll be able to keep updated on what he got going on. And when you see the apple fritter room, you're gonna know what I'm talking about. When you see the bacciao room, you're gonna know what I'm talking about on how simple watering systems can have your room on point dialed in. But if you're in a smaller system, I'm not going to say that there's anything wrong with hand watering when it only takes 8 minutes out of your day to go ahead and hand water. You were going to be staring at the plants for 8 minutes out of the day anyway. So what is it to go in there and hand water the plants that need it? I'm not just going to automatically weed out anybody who needs to go in and hand water, especially if you're in like Well, the blue mats do work good for like no-till systems. My boy Sleep in the building. Yeah, so for like let's say you're doing no-till beds, you're doing 4x8, 4x4 no-till beds, or let's say you even doing like no-till pots. Let's say you're doing 15-gallon no-till pots, 5-gallon, 7-gallon no-till pots. They got the blue mat drippers that have like these carrots on the end of them. You sink them into your soil and it go ahead and distributes a certain amount of water every single day. And you don't ever have to worry about your soil drying out. That's another thing, soil versus hydroponic. What are you doing in your tent? What are you doing in your room? Are you doing soil or are you doing hydroponic? Because that's going to make a huge difference as to whether or not you're going to want to hand water, whether you're going to want to set up a watering system, and what watering system it is that you want to set up. Because you're not going to be able to set up the same system that I got in cocoa. My plants dry back every single day. Every single day. I'm in 1-gallon pots in cocoa doing a sea of green method. I'm not going to tell somebody that's doing a no-till method to go ahead and copy the same thing that I'm doing, because they could fuck around and kill all the microbes that's building inside of their soil. Those microbes are dependent on a steady amount of water. Those microbes are dependent on you keeping this at a certain amount of moisture. I don't have to worry about that because I'm not using any microbes. I'm not worried about building any microbes. I don't have to keep any worms alive. I don't have to keep any cover crop alive. So there's certain things that people are going to have to deal with based on what system that they're in. If you're in a current culture system, you don't have to worry about hand watering or doing any sort of watering because you're in a hydroponic system. So there's going to be different ways to solve your problems. And that's the reason that I started the Real Talk Cannabis podcast, so I could have people who are in different systems, people who walk different ways of life when it comes to growing, to be able to get people the answers that they need, because I only do no-till outdoor. I only do no-till for my outdoor garden. So for the people who are doing it indoor, you're going to experience something different. You're not dealing with the sun. The sun is going to play a way different role than an HPS will, a way different role than an LED will. The LED is going to put out as much heat, so you're not going to deal with as much evaporation. So you might not have to give as much water as I would outdoor, compared to somebody who's growing no-till beds indoor underneath gavitas. They're going to have a way different experience than I can go ahead and say to you, because that's not a method that I've done before. So that's the reason. Oh yeah, people, don't be afraid to DM me on Beast Coast Grower 420 over on Instagram. I'll send you the Zoom link and you guys could get in here. You could show off your grow. If you having any sorts of problems, you can feel free to ask questions. If I can't answer your questions, I got the smartest fucking chat room in the cannabis industry. That's my new motto right there. I got the smartest chat room in the cannabis industry. There isn't a chat room, and we just getting started. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I got the smartest chat room in the cannabis industry. We got growers in here that been growing up to 50 years. Up to 50 years, we got growers in here that's been growing since back in the day that can tell you any and everything about anything. So since I got the smartest chat room in the cannabis industry, don't be afraid to go ahead and DM me on Instagram. I'll send you over the Zoom link. KS, KS is about to be a moderator because he's always in here. He's always on point. He's the first one in here. He's the last one to leave. So you are now a moderator. You got your big wrench on deck. So you good to go from now on. You are now a moderator, so you could go ahead and post links. You can go ahead and do that. You'll sleep. I'm about to sleep. You a moderator now too. So you guys could go ahead and post links, because you can only post links when you're moderators. So now I'm making both of you guys moderators. So you guys could go ahead and post your links. You can get everything. You can get people onto some people who I may not know. So tent versus grow rooms. There's just going to be major differences. Like a tent, it's like the best sealed room you can have if you bought a good tent. If you bought like a Gorilla Grow tent where there's no light leaks, there's no things in between the zippers where the air can escape, there's none of that, then trust me, you're not going to have to deal with the same type of things that somebody who built a bullshit room is even going to have to go through. Because imagine if you built a room with no insulation, it's just wide open to the atmosphere that's outside of the room. Somebody that's in a tent is actually going to have a better grow room than you will. KS, you already know, Blessings King. So somebody who's in a Gorilla Grow tent will actually have a little bit more control over their room than somebody who built a bullshit room. So that's something that you're gonna have to deal with. What type of AC unit, if you need an AC unit at all inside of your tent, I advise you, if you have a tent inside of like a regular sized bedroom, go ahead and just get you a window unit, because it doesn't look out of place that people don't take their window units out, because there's people all over the world who don't bother to take the window units out of their windows during the wintertime. So it won't look any sort of problem. But let's say you do have a problem, go ahead and get you a dual duct or a single duct unit, because during the wintertime, you're not really gonna have to worry about too much. As long as you can cool the room that's outside of your tent and vent that cool air back into your tent, then you're gonna be good. Now the issue comes in when that cold air meets the warm air from inside of your tent and it begins to build moisture. That moisture starts to almost make it like rain inside of your tent. So you'll go inside of your tent and you'll feel the walls, and the walls of the tent will be sweating. You'll see literally like rain droplets starting to build on the very tops of your tent. And that's what happens when the cold air from outside of your room is meeting the warm air that's inside of your tent, and you start to build problems. And it's hard to get a dehue inside of your tent. It's really hard to get a dehue inside of your tent without taking up that floor space. When you're in a tent, you want to use every bit of floor space that you have. That place where you put the air conditioning could literally be 2 more plants that yield you 2 ounces apiece. So you're missing out on a quarter pound per harvest, not even counting CO2. Not even counting how big the tent is, not even counting how big the plants are. So that's something you have to factor in. Compared to me, I'm in a room, I got a mini split. The mini split hangs from the walls like a wall mount fan. I got all the floor space that I could use. If I set up a watering system, I really don't have to walk into my room. I could put a window on the fucking door of my room, look in to make sure that it ain't nothing dying, as long as the reservoir is stacked with water at all times and I'm not running low on anything. I don't have to really go into my room until harvest unless I'm checking on things. And the less interaction you have with your plants, the better that they grow. These plants don't need your help. That's another thing. These plants don't need your help to grow. They don't need you in there talking to them. They don't need you in there doing anything. These plants have been growing since before humans were even here. This plant has been here longer than humans. Is 5-gallon smart pots too big for a 4x8 tent? African Don, it really depends on how you want to do it. Do you want to turn and burn, or do you want to veg out a little bit more? Because if you got to fill out that root mass of that 5-gallon smart pot, then it's going to take you a few weeks of veg unless you're vegging while you're flowering. And the moment that you're done flowering, you got a space to put the plants that have to go out for drying, and you could replace them the same day. Or you could do 1-gallon. Well, first off, African Don, what medium are you using? Are you using cocoa? Are you using super soil? Are you using Pro Mix? Are you in DWC? Are you in undercurrent? Before I answer any questions, what is the system of medium that you're using? With 10 spaces, an issue for sure. DHU, AC, fans. Yeah, so it starts to pose the issue, because then you got a zip tie fucking veg out, no rush. Yo, African Don, I'm gonna tell you something right now. It's always a rush. It's always a rush to get to the finish line, and you want to get to that finish line as fast as possible. Fox Farm Ocean Forest. Look, I'm gonna tell you this. Before you start doing Fox Farm Ocean Forest, I would go ahead and what size is the tent? 4x8. I would go ahead and get a 4x8 no-till bed inside of that tent, and I would turn and burn. So while as soon as I hit 4 weeks in flower, I should already have plants that are in veg ready to go in 4 weeks. So the moment that I harvest that 10 and chop everything out, I'm able to replace them with clones that are already veg 4 weeks. So once I get them into those beds, they can acclimate in about a week or 2. I could go ahead and flip again. If not, then I'm going to have to veg for 3 to 4 weeks inside of my flower room every single time that I'm going. And that winds up being almost 4 or 6 less harvests a year. Compared to if I'm vegging at the same time that I'm flowering, I'm good money, because the second that I'm taking the room down, I can move that into the dry space. Once I move that into the dry space, I already got plants that are veg for weeks. They're a decent size. All I got to wait for them to do is get their roots to set foot in those no-till beds. Once they start to get that organic sheen on them, that organic green, nice shine on them, the second I know that those roots are reaching out into those beds, I could go ahead and flip them, because I don't have to worry about them actually filling out the beds, because the roots are never going to fill out a 4x8 bed. Those beds hold 30, 40 fucking gallons of soil in them. So go ahead and build you a super soil and go with the no-till method versus dealing with Fox Farm. Because with Fox Farm, you're going to run, especially Ocean Forest. Ocean Forest is hot soil. That is very hot soil. What you want to do is something like Ocean Forest. That's something that should be at the very bottom of your pots or your no-till beds. So by the time that the roots are actually hitting that Ocean Forest, they're already nice developed roots. They should deal with with the happy frog through like the first layer, you should give them a little bit stronger in the middle layer, and then the bottom layer is where you want to hit them with something like that ocean forest, because it has the crab meal. It has a very high ratio of nutrients in them, and something that's just getting into veg doesn't want to deal with no ocean forest. If it's coming into contact with ocean forest and it just got put into that new bed, it's going to burn right away. And then you're going to have to deal with it recovering afterwards. He on YouTube? Are you yo, D-Raz Base, are you talking about Frosty McNasty? Is he on YouTube? If you're talking about Frosty McNasty, hell yeah, he's on YouTube. Hell yeah. And he just, oh man, he just did a video the other day about how black growers still haven't got a chance to play in the cannabis game. How the one company up in Seattle that they put the name of the company in actually owns 5% of the company, even though the company name is in his name, and they're using his name and his likeness to even be able to attract African American people into that dispensary. He only is getting 5%, and the other people are getting 95% of those earnings. So he may as well not even be in the cannabis industry, because on the black market, he would still be able to make more than he would actually owning the dispensary in Seattle. And that's fucking sad, but that's a conversation for another day. If you really want to hear that conversation and you really want to hear about the article, get over to Frosty McNasty over on YouTube, and you can hear him read out the article and state the facts as he's going through reading out the article. He's a grower on the West Coast. He's a black grower on the West Coast. So he's going to know more about these things than I do. And I love the fact that he actually read the article point for point and was able to go through it and tell us about what's going on over there. So get over to Frosty McNasty over on YouTube, and you can hear that whole thing. Yeah, oh yeah, hell yeah. Hell yeah. I used to put seedlings straight in ocean forest and just top dress and use for tea. See, look, I've never had good luck with dealing with ocean forest because it's a very, very hot soil. That is a soil that needs to be at the bottom of pots, in my opinion, because roots need to really be developed. Something needs to really be ready to feed before they can deal with that ocean forest. So even when I was building my no-till beds to start off with, the very top layers were just Pro Mix mixed with Happy Frog. So I took some bags of Happy Frog, I took some kelp meal, I took a very low ratio of nutrient ingredients to mix into that top layer. Then when I got to the, you want to do this like a lasagna. Joshua Steensland is one of the best people at explaining this. Remember, I'm not the no-till guy, so get over to Joshua Steensland as well. He's somebody that could give you very good information on like no-till. But what I do is like Happy Frog on the very top layer mixed with some Pro Mix, so it's nice and light for the clones that are first going out. Then the middle layer is a bit stronger. That's where I start adding the I don't really even want to add no type of bloom boosters into the middle section, because in the middle section, that's like June, July. That's when they're feeding heavy, but they don't really want a lot of potassium and phosphorus. So you don't really want to deal with too much potassium and phosphorus in that middle layer. Now, when you get to that bottom layer, by the time they hit in that bottom layer, it should be around August or September. Around August and September is when they're ready for bloom, and they're going to deal with that extra amount of phosphorus and potassium, and you don't want them running low on either one of those while they're in their bloom phases. So that's when the ocean forest really comes in handy. But to take a clone fresh out of the clone dome and transplant it into a cup of ocean forest, oh, you're really going to deal with some serious issues. You might deal with some burning, you might deal with some lockout. It might take them a minute to get out of that, compared to if you transplanted them directly into some Happy Frog. They would be some Happy Frogs, and they would take off right away, because it's just the right amount of nutrients for them at the level that they're at. There's stages to this. Now, if you're in more of a hydroponic setting, then you're good. Like me, I feed can of cocoa. I'm in cocoa. Cocoa is an inert medium. It doesn't have any type of nutrient value to it. It can only take what I have to give it. So I can feed full strength veg nutrients right out the gate. As soon as they come out the dome and they go into their solo cups, I'm feeding the same thing that the biggest plants in my veg room are eating. The only difference is the bigger plants get watered more often. The smaller plants don't get watered as often, but they're taking the exact same strength of medium, because they're going to drink less water. That's the only difference, is the ones with less roots are going to drink less water. They still want the same NPK value. They just want less water. The bigger plants, they want the same NPK value, but they also want a decent amount of water at the exact same time. So that's the difference between the two. And that's the only difference between the two. Again, the only stupid question is questions that aren't asked. So don't feel like you guys have some stupid questions and you're scared to ask them. If you have any questions, put them into the chat and we will get to them. My boy, ready. We about to get 813 Genetics into the building. Can y'all just give me 1 second while I get my boy into the building? Yeah, that's how I feel. The only dumb questions is questions that aren't asked, because everybody got to start somewhere. Everybody's not at the professional level. Everybody hasn't been growing 6, 8, 7, 9, 10 years. All of us are starting from somewhere. So for the people who are just beginning and they're just going on YouTube and looking up information and they're hearing about ocean forest and that's a really good soil to use, I agree it's a very good soil to use. I just agree it's a very hot soil to use. So coming fresh out of the clone dome, if you're going to be transplanting directly into ocean forest, oh man, yeah, good luck. Good fucking luck. That's all I'm gonna say to you. Y'all just go ahead. I got Big Shaq the God in here. You know you about to be a moderator. Yeah, soil's definitely more difficult to time the water. And y'all give me 1 second, just 1 second. Read Frosty McNasty's comment. Read Frosty McNasty's comment. My bad, my bad. I just had to run into the restroom real quick. We should have 813 Genetics in the building in a second. Boom. Oh, boom. Got him. My boy, my boy, my boy. You know, I always got to have somebody to chop it up with. And I got my boy in the building. Just give him a second. He coming in. Oh, yeah. What up, what up, what up?
What's up, King?
Got you in the building. Yeah, I figured I'd just start. And whenever you was ready, I knew you would hop in.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so today we're talking about tents versus grow rooms, and we winded up getting on the subject of are you growing with organics? Are you growing with soil? Are you growing the no-till method inside of your tent, or are you growing in a hydroponic method? Because that's also going to be a difference as to the way that you need to grow inside of your tent.
That is correct.
Somebody was talking about ocean forest, and the first thing I was warning them is you don't want to come right out the clone dome and go right into ocean forest. That's a very hot soil. I advise you to go with the happy frog first. And then once it can adjust to the happy frog, then it'll be ready for the ocean forest afterwards. But to go directly in the ocean forest with that high level of crab meal and everything in it,
Right.
meal, feather meal, that's something for later on when the roots are a little bit more developed.
Yeah, I feel the same way about that. Even if that's the only thing you have, I think you should get some other soil, probably like Happy Frog, and mix it together and break it down.
There you go.
2 parts to one. Just like you said, do a lasagna.
Yes.
Basically have that at the bottom.
Yo, bro,
But
before we even go any further, I know you use amended cocoa. So can you go ahead and tell people a little bit about the method that you do? Because there might be some people in tents that want to go the organic method and want to use the dry amendments the way that you are, but they don't know how to set it up. So if you can, do you mind just going over the recipe that you use to do what you do?
oh yeah, of course. I use cocoa. It all depends on what cocoa you're able to get your hands on. Right now I'm using Mother Earth. So basically, I use Mother Earth and dry amendments by Down to Earth. So I do use the oyster shells. I do use the phosphorus. I do use um, the bone meal. I also use the crab meal, the feather meal. It all depends on what plant that you're going for, how long you're going to be vegging. Because most of the stuff are high in nitrogen, so that is just good for greenery in the beginning of your flowering phase. So that's why I like to build everything up in the beginning, and then I use my brew teas as I feed on the way down. As I
Oh,
told you
yeah.
before, I do my water and then nothing. Wait till the pot dries out, and then I go ahead and I give it the brew tea. That goes ahead and spikes back up like it's Red Bull. and it, shoots out for more wings. And I just
Okay.
repeat that process until I get to flour, and then I use more of the carbohydrates. Where, as we talked about, I usually coconut, redefined, brown sugar. I
Mm-hmm.
use the agave. I use honey. I have this one honey that I had for like over 16 years that I've
Woo!
yeah, yeah, some nice honey my grandma had with her from Jamaica. So I've been
Hold up,
using.
hold up, hold up, hold up, hold up, hold up. We can't just skip past that like it didn't happen. We're talking about a 16-year-old honey. That is bringing culture into your garden right there. When grandma done came up with a recipe that's so good that 16 years later it's still viable to the plants. What? We was supposed to just skip past that like it didn't happen? That is crazy. My bad. Keep going. I'm sorry.
No,
That fucked me up for a second. Go ahead.
you remember I showed you the plants outside. Remember I
Yeah.
showed you the avocado trees. I showed you the pears. I
Yeah.
showed you the what is it, the ackee. So yeah, basically I get the green thumb from my grandmother. Um,
Hold up, hold up, hold up, hold up, hold up. You got Aki?
yeah, I got ackee. I told you I got ackee tree if you need it, but I know it don't grow where
Yes.
you.
Oh
But
my
I got it.
God.
I got
Yes.
the
Oh,
seed.
bro. I've been
I
dying
got
for some cheese made from some Aki, man. Please.
Yeah. Oh, King, you ain't even, anything you need. I got you, God. I got you, man. I told you
Good looking.
I got you. Like I said, I can send you some seeds. I can send you some cuts so you can, what I'm saying, just throw it in a little tent or something and let it catch roots. And I send you some mangoes too. Some mango
Hell yeah.
cuttings that are from Jamaica. They're like over 40 years old. So everything I'm gonna send you is gonna be like 40 years old, bro.
Hold
Over
on. We gotta stop for a second. I want to talk to y'all real quick about the importance of being in the cannabis industry and linking up with good people. It comes down, we mentioned it on one of the other ones, 813, about how Jungle Boys had three friends that came together. They started the Jungle Boys. We talked about how Burner, it was three of them that came together. They started them. We talked about how Gas House had three people together. It started them. Y'all have to make connections in this game. Don't just assume that you could do all of this shit by yourself. You're going to need to reach out to some people to get some information that's outside of what you already know. So back to your soil method. We was on the honey. So go
Oh
ahead.
yeah.
My bad.
No, you good. So I used the honey. Um it just had different stages. So, like in week one of flour, I might use the honey. Week two, I might use the coconut sugar. Week three, I might just use brown sugar because every different carbohydrates at different points in the plant gives it a different profile. I wouldn't say the terpenes are different because the terpenes are always going to be the same for that plant, but it
Mhm.
gives you more of a let's say a sweetness of a buffer to what you're
Okay.
doing with your plant. And like I said, I don't use bottle nutrients, so just like you, I like to flush at least 2 to 3 weeks prior to me going ahead and letting the plant dry out before I cut it and hang it up.
Mhm.
So my method is hand watering, as we were spoke about before. I like to hand water. I really don't like to use anything else. No matter how many plants it is, I like to give everybody the same amount, feel them,
Mhm.
know which one likes to drink, which one doesn't. Um, but other than you, I do have a more open space to where I could get in and out my plants. I really don't use any trellis, so it's either bamboo
Okay.
soup like um, Frosty, or I train them from early and build them up so they can have that strong structure in our one gallon
Yes.
like me and you do. Build them up
Yes.
and they'll be able to sustain the weight that is put on them, especially if you lollipop the plant correctly, where it doesn't have to focus at the bottom and the top. It just has to focus on
Yes.
the top to give you your fruit. At the bottom, you don't really need that popcorn unless you are a person that likes edibles and you want something to, say hold you over until next harvest. But like he said,
Yep.
if you do it correctly by cutting your clones early and cutting a substantial amount to where you have four ready for the next round or whatever you can manage
Mhm.
in your tent or whatever you can manage in your threshold wherever you're growing. Now, using a tent, there is a lot of stuff involved. It's like you said, you have to worry about the outside. You have to worry about every time you open the tent, it's going to drop or raise the temperature 5 to 10 degrees. Then you have to worry about if anything that you brought from outside is on your clothes Or if you're
Yes.
showing people their garden and they have their own garden, but doesn't tell you that they have a pest problem, then you bring them into your house and then you have, a whole bunch of other stuff to play factor. And especially even if you bring in air from outside, if you don't have a nice, what you would say, a cleaning method or a air purifier for it, then you're going to still be bringing in pathogens that you don't want for your plant, bugs that you don't want
Exactly.
for the plant.
Yo, bro, can
So
you see can you see our chat?
yeah, I'm looking at the chat right now. I got it on
Do you,
my iPad.
do you see the question that just got posted in there from No Limit?
No, give me 1 second.
Yeah, pull up our chat, bro. Not the YouTube chat, our chat in Zoom. That's why I'm gonna start. I'm gonna copy and paste all of the questions there because this question's for you.
Oh, okay. Where do I pull it up in Zoom at?
Do you see at the bottom of the Zoom where it says chat? It should say share screen, participants, and in between the two, it should say chat.
Okay, here go the chat right here.
Click it.
Using with John Loomis, do you have to still pH your water? I don't pH.
Boom.
I don't pH. Not that I don't want to, or not that I don't have to. If I am going to use City Punch, basically my water from my pipe, or my sink, excuse me, I let it sit out at least 24 to 48 hours, let the chlorine break down, and I also have 2 or 3 bubblers in there going to go ahead and rush the process basically by popping out anything that I don't need in there. I
Now,
normally
quick question before you go any further on that. When you're dealing with the like the bubblers, like the air stones, using air stones?
Yes, you use air
Okay.
stones.
When you using the air stones, do air stones tend to change your pH? Because I've heard for the longest that if you use air stones, like especially in like undercurrent systems, that air stones will actually change your pH as the water begins to bubble. Is this true?
I haven't seen that. I would say if you've been using that same air stone for a long time, it gathers whatever's been passing through the bubbler. But I normally use straight tube. Only use a bubbler if I'm trying to hurry up, but I use a straight tube to have more of airflow going through, rushing, like how you say, like a current. I use the bubbler like that. So I use an 8 head and I stick it in a 4 5 gallon buckets and I go from there. And
Okay.
then I do a brew tea at least once every 2 weeks. I make one and then I put it down and use it throughout the growth for that week and that week and a half, and then I build another one.
Okay. Do you see the second question that's in there? I'll let you answer it first, and then I'll give an answer after you're done. Do you see the second question that just got put into the our chat?
It says how
I think both of us feel the same way about this, but I'll let you give your feedback first before I do.
All right. RO water, it is good. It's a long process. It all depends. If you're using the RO water for you to drink and bathe personally, then yes. But using it for the plant, no. RO water is already, if you use bottle nutrients, it's already in the bottle nutrients with like heavy salts, different salts. I wouldn't say heavy salts, but does have salts in there. So using the RO water really is not doing anything to me, versus if you use regular water. Now, the regular water, if it's high in chlorine and fluoride, then yes, RO water would beat that any day. But like how me and Beast Coast do it, as you can see, his plants are beautiful. I haven't flowered in a couple of months, so if you look back on my page and you see my old flowers, there's nothing under that was ever used with any pH. So go ahead and answer that one.
Okay, so my opinion on RO water is I think that RO water is very wasteful, in my opinion, because for every 5 gallons of RO water, for every 5 gallons of tap water, it gives you about 1 gallon of RO water. But if you go outside and you look at the grass is growing fine with the water from the hose. That's the same water that you would have been putting in your plants. The trees are growing fine from the same water that's coming out of your hose, and it's not pH'd. You don't pH your water coming out of your hose. You don't purify the water coming out of your hose. It grows your vegetables just fine. It grows everything just fine. my tap water comes out around 250, 260 ppm, and I know it's mainly calcium. So all I know is I have to offset that amount of calcium with magnesium, Epsom salt. Epsom salt is magnesium sulfate. So
Correct.
offset that amount of calcium with magnesium if you're in more of a hydroponic system, and you won't have to worry about any of that. But am I using RO water anymore? No. And I have four RO systems, four of them, and I don't use any of them because I started thinking about it, and I'm like, yo, there's countries that don't have no water. They have to walk miles and carry the water back on their heads in order to get some type of water that's even drinkable, any water that's type of cookable. And I'm wasting water just to be able to get the ppm lowered when I know that most of the shit that's in my water is calcium. Do I know that there's some fluoride in there? Yes. Do I know that the fluoride is going to wind up cooking out along with the rest of the stuff that's inside of the water? Yes, because I'm not going through 30 to 50 gallons of water in a day. It's going to take me about a week to go through that, and throughout the week, the rest of that chlorine and everything is going to wind up cooking itself out of the water. So I'm not too worried about that. So I don't use RO systems. Now, if you're in the legal cannabis industry, you may need to be a little bit more cautious about the water that you're using because it can make you fail testing. If there's bacteria, if there's pesticides, like think about this. If a woman is using birth control and she's urinating, that urine that she's using is getting recycled and put back into your water. Those chemicals might wind up showing up in your test results for your cannabis afterwards because that's what you've been using. So if you're in that kind of situation, you may need to go ahead and start using RO filters. But if you're just a regular home grower and you don't have to pass no testing, and you don't have to, because they test cannabis harder than they test your vegetables. Like there's certain things there's certain things that's legal to use on tomatoes and grapes and the rest of these fruits and vegetables that's illegal to use on cannabis. So you have to be careful about the products that's going into your cannabis if your cannabis has to be tested. Now, if your cannabis doesn't have to be tested, then I advise you to just go ahead, deal with because most water is better than mine. My water comes out around 250, 260. Most water is coming out around 150, maybe 200. So if that's the case, then go ahead and use your tap water, offset that amount of calcium with magnesium, Epsom salt, which is magnesium sulfate, and you'll be good to go, in my opinion. Now, some people are going to tell you stick strictly to RO water so you know exactly what's going into your plant and blah, blah, blah. Most of them are just getting way too technical for what they're in because they're not getting their pounds sent in to be tested. They're not getting nugs sent in to be tested. So they're just telling you to do extra shit that's unnecessary, in my opinion, because my vegetables grow just fine. They taste just fine. I'm not tasting any residue in my tomatoes or any of my vegetables. You'll see Samson in the comment section. He's one of the moderators. Your 813, that's one of the homies right there too. You'll see him in the comment section. He gave me a whole bunch of vegetables. He gave me a whole bunch of peppers. He gave me a whole bunch of tomatoes. He gave me a whole bunch of everything. And they tasted amazing. He gave me some salsa that he made from out of his garden. It tastes amazing. And he didn't use no RO water to water his vegetables. He used the same shit that's coming out of the hose that I'm using. So if that's the case, then just go ahead. If you want to let it cook off for a day, go ahead, do that. But if you're not getting your cannabis tested, I don't feel it's necessary to go ahead and use RO water. That's just my opinion.
That is correct.
Jordan Williams says, so if your tap water is under 250 ppm or so, and you do a 24-hour evaporation for the chlorine, you're probably good. I agree. Yo, Frosty, it's the truth. And I'm going to piss a lot of people off. And I'm going to have all of the technical guys like, no, but you got to understand that the ppms that are going inside of your cannabis, and it's going to be hard to flush out because of the amount of calcium and the magnesium. Yo, look, no one's worried about that. We're not sending our cannabis to be tested for bacteria and pesticides and the rest of that shit. That's only for you guys that have to deal with being able to get your pounds off in the legal market. If you're a home grower and you're just growing for yourself, I promise you that tap water will be more than good enough. When I showed my roots the other day, and I showed people that it was tap water that got me those roots, people were fucking pissed. And I told them I could lie and tell you that Mammoth P got me these roots. I could lie and tell you that Power SI got me these roots. But I'm going to be 100 with you. This was tap water and can A and B. This was no microbes. This was no inoculants. This was no this was no nothing. This was literally just tap water, can of A, can of B, and Epsom salt. And I got the same amount of roots as the people who are bragging about using all of the microbe companies. Now, again, if you are in a no-till situation, you are gonna have to care about your microbes more than I will. So something else, yo, bro, do you use any sorts of enzymes in your system? Since I know you're using amendments and you're pretty much growing organic, do you use any type of enzymes in your system?
I have micros. I don't really use enzymes in my system.
Say that one more time. I'm sorry.
No, I say I haven't used enzymes in my system in a while. Well, I just use micros now.
And you know why? Because you're in a system that you don't want to kill off the microbes, because the microbes are what's going to attach to the roots and begin to feed them. And let me tell y'all something else. If you're feeding this might piss some people off. If you're feeding microbes in veg, it's like giving a cow milk. I don't know if that makes sense to y'all, but it's like giving a cow milk. During veg, the plants release sugar. They don't intake sugar. They don't need sugar for any other processes that they're using during veg. So if you're using any type of sweeteners, if you're using any type of carbohydrates during veg, it's like feeding a cow milk. The cow makes the milk itself, but you want to refeed the cow milk after it's already producing the milk by itself. So if you're in veg, stay away from the carbs. You don't need any carbs while you're in veg. While you're in veg, the veg plants are releasing carbs that they don't need. They don't start using the carbs to convert the different bacterias and the microbes that's in the medium into sugar to be able to produce the trichomes needed while it's in flour. While it's in flour, it can use the carbs because the microbes are eating through so many carbs. So you want to replenish those carbs for the microbes when you're in that kind of system. But when you're in veg, there's no need to be using any sorts of carbs unless you're brewing a tea. If you're brewing a tea, those bacteria that's inside of the bucket that you're using will breed faster if you give them some type of carbs. So if you're brewing a tea, yes, go ahead and use some kind of carbs. But if you're feeding carbs into your veg plant, you're literally working against the plant. The plant is releasing the carbs and you're trying to give the plant more carbs. You could run into a nitrogen lockout from having too many carbs in your veg plant. Then you'll wonder why your plant's yellow and you'll start saying it's a phosphorus deficiency. You'll start saying it's a potassium deficiency. And literally you're just giving way too much carbs to a plant that's trying to get rid of the carbs that it's having. It's like an obese person intaking way too many carbs, intaking way too much fatty cells while also trying to lose weight at the exact same time. It doesn't work that way. You're going to have to get rid of one during the time that it doesn't need it. So if you're in veg, don't bother to feed no type of carbs to your plants. Wait till they're in at least week 3 of flower before they can start using those carbs for the microbes to be able to transmit the messages back to the microbes to tell them what they need. They can use them during flower. They can't use them during veg. That's just a word of advice for you people.
And then you can smell when they need them.
Yes.
You know, you can smell when they need them. It's not like so you have to wait. You can tell like in week 3, that's when it opens up and your whole room is just a new fragrance.
Facts.
It's because of it needs the carbohydrates now because it's putting off its pheromones to find the male to pollinate.
Boom. Boom. I'm putting another question in our chat real quick. If you can get a second, just look over. I'll let you. My bad. I wasn't by the mic. I just put another question into our chat. So when you get a chance, go ahead and answer. And when you're done, I'll go ahead and give my answer. This is a question from Kenny Groves. What's up, Kenny Groves? Can you see the question?
I'm going there right now.
I'll read the question off to you. Oh, you got it?
Is it a PVC free and penicillin all good to do? I really need this. I like Pandafilm a lot. It reflects light good.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people use Mylar, but after a run or two, I noticed that the Mylar starts to look see-through.
Boom.
Let's see, PVC pipe. It all depends. If you're building everything from scratch, if you're trying to save, then yes, PVC pipe would be a good divider for in your room. and it would be good for you to put on your wall without really putting too many holes in there if you don't own the structure that you live in.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, did I miss anything on here? Well, the installation boards are good, but you remember the installation boards are just like a thermos. Whatever the
Mm.
temperature is inside is going to keep that.
Yep.
So you're going to still have to cut into it to put a fan or to make breathe holes or to, oh, I forgot I had this. So it all depends on what you're trying to do, how big you're trying to go. Because, after a while, after 10 feet, PVC pipe starts getting wobbly because you got to
Mm-hmm.
connect. It all depends on what size room you're using, and what you're going for. Because as we spoke before, a lot of people like to veg. I veg hard because I like big plants, because I like to put my plants outside for open pollination.
Uh-huh.
And I like to put my plants outside, just like me and Beast Coast, we like to smoke organic outside. I love outdoors. Indoors is
Oh
wonderful.
man.
Outdoors is everything. You can't
Outdoor
beat it, no matter what
everything.
you um and I don't
Off
smoke just
off
because
topic real quick. Off topic
yeah.
real quick. Please tell me that you've seen the video that Frosty McNasty just posted of the shit that he found in the fucking room that he used to breed in. Please
Yeah,
tell me,
yeah.
my nigga, what the
Come on, bro. How much? And
bro,
it's like 2-3 pounds. He was like,
bro, of straight
oh,
pressure, of
yeah.
straight pressure.
He
And
was
he
like, this is the
found this
apple.
shit.
This is the apple for this outdoor. It smells just like indoors, but I'm not gonna sell it for indoor.
Bro,
And
the
then he
best
goes,
looking
this
one
is
was the
some
one he didn't know the name of.
yeah, the one he didn't know the name of looked at fire.
Bro, pressure. Pressure. Yo, I had missed the question. So I'm gonna answer the question that we
Oh,
just did, and then I'm gonna ask you another question because I had missed a question from my homie Sleep. So my problem with Panda Film is you have to be careful with Panda Film because mold can start to build behind the walls of the Panda Film. So when the humidity yo bro, if you can, whenever I'm talking, just mute your mic because I can hear myself talking back inside of the microphone.
got
um
you. Hold on 1 second.
Boom. Okay, so my problem with Panda Film is mold can start to build behind your Panda Film because as the humidity begins to rise inside of your room, on the Panda Film, it's fine. But in between where your wall is and the Panda Film is, you can start to run into mold issues on your actual pieces of sheetrock unless you get mold-proof sheetrock, the green sheetrock that you can use that can stop the mold from building on a sheetrock. So when you're using Panda Film, you got to be careful because it's almost an insulation barrier between the Panda Film and the wall, and mold can start to build in between that. And by the time that you even notice that all your plants against the wall have been dying round after round, and you're having issues with the plants against your wall round after round, when you finally go to pull the Panda Film off, you'll notice that black mold has been building behind the Panda Film. So to me, you're better off going ahead and putting the sheetrock up, even if you don't use mold-proof sheetrock. Go ahead and put the sheetrock up, paint with a mold-proof paint, and that white reflection from the white paint that you put on your wall is going to be more effective than the Panda Film that you're using. So if you want to do something that's going to be more reflective, even though sheetrock is white, go ahead and paint the sheetrock with an extra coating of white and get some mold-proof paint, and it'll also stop oxygen and other temperatures from being able to seep through your walls, because sheetrock is porous. So there's actually microscopic holes in the sheetrock that moisture and air can still get through. And when you paint it, it actually closes all of that off. So if that's what you're gonna do, I advise you to hell with the Panda Film. It's good if that's what you have to use. If that's what you have to use, go for it. But if you're gonna use some type of insulation in between it, make sure that it's a mold-proof insulation. But if you're gonna do anything, I advise you to build a room with sheetrock and paint the sheetrock white, because it's gonna be more reflective than the Panda Film will, and you won't have to worry about that mold builder behind it. Now, the second question that came from the homie is, I use a lot of dehydrated vegetables as plant nutrients. Is that good? Now, my only issue with dehydrated plants is those plants, in order for them to work, they're still going to need moisture. So when you put the dehydrated plants into your medium, it's going to have to pull the moisture from the medium in order to rejuvenate itself, in order to give off exactly what it needs that you're looking for. So like, let's say you're using dehydrated mangoes or dehydrated cucumbers, even if it's inside of your body, when the dehydrated vegetables enter inside of your body, it's going to have to pull water from your cells in order to fluff back up, in order to be able to do what it normally would have did had it had the right amount of water in the vegetable already. So when you enter that shit into your medium, it's going to have to pull moisture from your medium in order to be able to synthesize the way that it needs to. So I say, instead of using dehydrated plants, go ahead and ferment the plants in a K&F bucket. They have the bokashi buckets. You can go on Amazon. I think it's right around $30 or $40 to go ahead and get the bokashi buckets, and it has the filter at the bottom where it catches everything and only the juices fall through the filter. So go ahead and get you a bokashi bucket, use some bokashi on your vegetables along with some brown sugar, and it will dehydrate the vegetables basically for you, leaving the moisture at the bottom, and that moisture at the bottom is what you should use as your nutrients. You don't want to use actual dehydrated vegetables as your nutrients, because when you add that dehydrated vegetables into your medium, it's going to pull water from your medium before it can even start working. So it's going to be a longer synthesis process in your medium if you use dehydrated plants versus actually letting the plants ferment and taking the juice from the fermenting process from the bokashi bucket and just using that. So I say, use regular vegetables in your bokashi bucket. Go ahead and add the bokashi to it. Bokashi is nothing. For like 2 pounds, 2.5 pounds, I guess they count it as a kilogram. A kilogram is like 2.8 pounds or 2.6 pounds. I forgot what it was. You could go ahead and use the bokashi on your already hydrated vegetables, and it will pull the nutrients that it needs and turn it into a liquid. Then use that liquid to water your no-till beds or your no-till pots or whatever you have to do. But when you're using dehydrated vegetables, it's going to have to go into your medium and pull moisture before it can start working. So it might be a week or two lapse before the plants are able to uptake that nutrients. So you can skip all of that if you just go ahead and use the already hydrated vegetables and use the bokashi to pull that nutrients from it, turn it into a liquid, and that liquid is already ready to use. So I'll go ahead and let 813 speak on that because he does more organics than I do. So you good to go, bro.
And now that is correct. Now, if you know, I like to format my fruits before I use it into my grow. But
Of
if you do
course.
want to use dehydrated, I would say try and hydrate it before you put it in there. Try and put it
Boom.
inside some of your water that you have already sitting. Depending on how much you're going to use and how many plants you're going to use it for, go ahead and put it in there and let it rehydrate itself, and then go ahead and then you could spread it out over whatever plants that's needed. Now, if there's chunks or anything still in there, then you will want to put that under the soil by using it as a top cover.
Boom. Boom. I agree with that 100%. And you also want to be aware of how much
Right.
fermented vegetables and fruits that you're actually adding underneath your soil, because they can start to build bad mold. So
That
so
is
you want
true.
to be very careful about that. You don't just want your whole underneath your soil decomposing with rotten vegetables, because the it can only work so fast based on microbes. It's based on microbes. The microbes will break it down as fast as it can, but it can only break down so much at a time. So you want to be careful about how much. You don't want just the soil with a bunch of decomposing fruits and vegetables underneath the layer of soil, because you'll start to run into issues. It might actually mold and rot and become negative bacteria before it becomes a positive bacteria. So it might actually be a detriment to your plant if you're using too much of it. You want to be careful of how much of it that you're using. You want to keep it balanced. Now, outdoor is different, because outdoor, if you're actually in the ground or if you're in a no-till bed or something, you got a little bit more space than you got in like a 5 or a 7 gallon pot. You got the entire ground, and every time it rains, it's doing a little bit more breakdown. It has extra amounts of microbes. You can add a little bit more microbes to get it going. There's animals that are going to dig some of that up and take it for their own food. You got some advantages when you're outdoor. But indoor, you want to be very careful about how much of rotting vegetables or fruits that you are burying, because it can actually become a detriment to your garden. There you go. It could become anaerobic. It could become anaerobic because there's no oxygen getting to it. It's going to have to break down with no oxygen. So it can actually turn your soil acidic And cannabis needs a balance of right around the acidic and alkaline in a soil situation, and what's around the 6.5 to 6.8 pH in a no-till situation for it to be able to thrive. You don't want to turn it too acidic, because once it becomes too acidic, you're going to run into some pH issues. You're going to have some lockouts, mainly with potassium and phosphorus. So you're going to
Now,
have plants turning yellow. You're going to think that it's a nitrogen deficiency, and really it's a potassium and phosphorus deficiency from you having rotting vegetables in your soil. But 813, you can go ahead.
yeah, I just wanted to touch on now. If you feel like you're having that issue, you could also add worms to your plants, and they could
Boom.
also help you with the aeration and help you with the breaking down of the vegetables or the fruits that's in there.
Jim
They'll
Beam's
also
Worm
help you
Farm.
with your root ball, correct. They'll also help you with your root ball. Eat all of the dead roots, and then it'll form more roots because once air hit, that's why the fabric pasta is so good, because once air hits the roots, it splits into two. That's why it looks like there's a million roots there, because once air
Yes.
hits, it just keeps splitting, keeps splitting, keeps splitting. You know, so if you adding anything fermented, or if you're adding any dehydrated fruits or vegetables, then if you have worms in there, they can help you with that to break
Yes.
down. And even if you don't want to use any fermented or any dehydrated, you can use cover crop. Or basically you just put down, either go get some seeds, some grass seeds, or go ahead and get some clover seeds. And then once they grow up to 2 or 3 inches, just cut it down, just like you have a
Now,
real lawn.
before you go any further, I also want to point out to y'all, before you just go ahead and chop like the red clover, the crimson clover down and just use it as a top covering for the worms to eat, if you have a woman and she's dealing with a menstrual cycle that lasts over a week, she's hemorrhaging. And the way you can stop that is actually by brewing a tea out of the red clover, because the red clover is a medicine. The way I found out that the red clover is a medicine is my female dog. Whenever she would go outside, and she's during her time of the year, because with dogs it's a little bit different. Whenever she's during her time of the year, she will eat every bit of red clover out of my backyard. And I was wondering why my male never ate the red clover, but it's always my female that's just going in on the red clover. And that's because it decreases the menstrual cycle. So if you have a woman that's dealing with her menstrual cycle for too long, a week, 10 days, 14 days, then you want to actually brew some of that red clover. You want to harvest some of that red clover. It can also be used in a tea. It's a high iron formula, and iron is actually what gives the plant its taste. The terpenes that you're looking for actually comes heavily due to the amount of iron that's inside of the soil. So you can either ferment it, or you could brew it in the tea to give to your woman, and it can decrease the amount of time on her menstrual cycle. It could decrease menstrual cramps on her menstrual cycle. So it's also something that you could be using. So if you're not using cover crops and you're in a no-till system, you already fucked up. You definitely want to be using no-till with cover crops, because those cover crops are going to eat up the extra nutrients that your plant doesn't want. That's just what I've learned off of using no-till after a while.
And that's correct. It's gonna eat it up, and it's gonna stir it for later for you. And you are
Yes.
correct with the menstrual cycle too. So if anybody wife is having a long menstrual, and you're not vegan or vegetarian, what happens is that the food that you're cooking is helping with the. It's like a blood clot to unstop the blood. Like you
Yes.
can't stop the blood. So in order for that to stop, you will have to stop eating cooked food. I know it's hard, but a lot of people don't want to do that. So use the red clover. That's one thing that's good. And if your body is not acting correctly, meaning if you're, since this quarantine, if you put on weight, or if you're just not feeling good, what you can do is go on a raw vegan diet, which you don't need to cook anything, just eat everything raw. If it's carrots, vegetables, or anything,
Yes.
and that'll help reset your body. It'll take 3 months, but you'll never go back to cooked food, meat, or anything like that again. You're just like a
Facts.
plant. It's chlorophyll, and that's the only thing that's different between us and the plant.
Well, the original humans, we have
Right,
melanin,
right.
and melanin tends to act the exact same way that chlorophyll does. It takes the
Yeah,
sun, it converts it into energy for us. So like even for black people who are vitamin D deficient, the reason you're vitamin D deficient is because it takes you 2 hours outside before your body even begins to synthesize the sun, because you have a natural sunblock on you. So where other races that are a little bit lighter than you are able to go outside, they can start synthesizing the sun maybe after 30 to 45 minutes to an hour. The darker you are, the longer you need to be outside to be able to synthesize the sun. So it'll take you at least 2 hours before your body even begins to synthesize the sun. Now, with a plant, it works the same way. It works the exact same way. When the lights first cut on, you'll see the plant start to pray. And as time goes on, you can see where the plants begin to get full from the meal that they're eating off of synthesizing the right amount of full spectrum light. It's the same way. You'll see them start to almost, I won't say curl over, but you'll see where they're full. You'll see where they're full. It's the exact same thing. So the only difference between the plant and the original people is the fact that plants synthesize sun and they can't see anything that's green. We can actually take in the full spectrum of light. So I thank everybody for coming in. As you come in, drop me a like, drop me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. It doesn't matter. I just need y'all to react, and don't feel afraid to drop your questions into the comment section. The only stupid question is a question that isn't asked. So if you have any questions, because 813 does cocoa amended with dry amendment. So he's pretty much in a no-till kind of situation where he's only top dressing to be able to keep the plant going through the rest of its phase. Me, I'm 100% hydroponic. Basically, cocoa is basically a hydroponic medium. So since I'm in cocoa, I can answer the rest of the questions that you have. And then I have moderators in the chat that are running different systems. So even if I can't answer for you, there's moderate. And I got the smart, and that's my new shit. I got the smartest cannabis chat room out of anybody, because everybody else is attached to somebody. Everybody else is dealing with somebody who they learn from. And my chat room is people who are dealing with trial and error. They're going through it as they go through it. And as they get through it, they're able to give information to the rest of the growers off of trial and error, not off of what somebody taught them, not off of what they read in a book, not off of anything else other than what they've tried and failed at and tried and succeeded at. So I got the smartest cannabis chat room and the entire cannabis community, in my opinion, because nobody over here, like, we're not owned by anybody. Like, we're not promoting Power SI. We don't have no commercials. We don't have no ads. We don't have any genetic companies that we're linked to. Like, yes, I love Square One Genetics, but Square One Genetics doesn't pay me to promote Square One Genetics. The reason that I'm promoting Square One Genetics is because he got the fire for a very, very, very decent price. So get over to Square One Genetics, because that's also where I'm going to be dropping the Brisker OG S1s. So we're going to feminize the Brisker OG. And in the process of me feminizing the Brisker OG, I'm going to cross it with the East Coast Sour. I'm going to cross it with the Runts. I'm going to cross it with the cereal milk. I'm going to cross it with the Gary Payton. I'm going to cross it with the Platinum Girl Scout cookie. I'm going to cross it with the ice cream cake. So there's going to be a whole bunch of different crosses coming, and they'll probably be released on Robin Hood Seed Company. That's an if any of my moderators are in the chat and they could get the link to Robin Hood Seed Company, that's where the S1s of the Brisker is going to be released. So it's a project that I'm doing with THC Titan. But if THC Titan fucked up, I'm not going to be afraid to say THC Titan fucked up. Like, I love copycat genetics, but the high octane times pancakes just harmed on me in my room. Once again, completely different pheno from a completely different seed. It harmed on me last round. It harmed on me again this round. I'm not going to be on here afraid to say it, because I'm not sponsored by Copycat Genetics. I don't owe him anything. I don't owe anybody any type of information. I'm only here to give y'all the real. No matter how much I love a breeder, no matter how much I love a nutrient company, no matter how much I love a lighting company, I will always keep it 100 with y'all. And that's the reason that we're on the Real Talk Cannabis podcast. Yeah, King Black, you already know the high octane times pancakes started harming again. I noticed tons of fucking nanners on the high octane cross with pancakes. So before shit got out of hand, I just already cut those down. Those are going to get blasted, turned into edibles, and we're going to call it a day. Yeah, Gary
Damn.
Payton times Brisker. We got it. It's coming soon. Don't worry. I'm setting the room up to be able to get the S1 started. 813, you had something to say?
No, I was like, damn, that shit hurt me on you, man. Yes.
Once
Me
once
that
again.
serious.
Once again.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Once
I
again.
feel you, man. I feel you, bro. And then, you know, you got breeders that'll be like, oh, it's how you growing. I'm like, okay, I'm growing it the same way I do everything else. Let me
Now
go
we're
ahead and
about
try
to
it.
Now we're about to do some more real talk, because even though the other day, if you go back a couple of podcasts, you can see where I was saying everyone's copying copycat genetics. When copycat first came out, everyone hated them for making S1s of people's gear. And then Exotic Genetics drops the Runtz S1, which is not his gear. He S1 somebody else's cut, and he sold the cuts on his website. And even if y'all want to say it's just for a promotion for y'all to be able to buy seeds, he also dropped an entire line crossed with the Runtz. So I defend copycat genetics all the time for the things that he does. But if one of his genetics harm me in my room, if all of his gear winds up being boof in my room, I don't have to be afraid to say it, because I don't owe him anything. He never gave me any free seeds. I don't work for him. I'm not here to promote him. I'm here to promote to the people the truth. And that's it. And that's all. Will you have any testers? You'll no limit. You don't even have to worry about that. Any strain that you want, you a moderator, you can get it. If you don't get it from me, you can get it from King Black. If you don't get it from King Black, you can get it from 813. Any of my moderators are able to get any of the cuts that they want to. Y'all don't have to worry about that.
But
And the,
King,
and the best
another
part
thing.
is that the rest of my moderators and the people that are inside of my chat rooms are breeders, so you'll also be able to get my strains crossed with a whole bunch of other things. So don't worry about that. But 813, what happened?
Yeah, like no, like I was saying, a lot of people think that from somebody you pay for it or not. Cross it up. The best thing in this world is you're trying to find that strand that fits you. You know what I'm saying? You're trying to find that, like you said, that next dial. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
All of these strands that we are talking about, all of these strands that are out, are just phenotypes of a different mainstream strand. You know what I'm saying? Which is not bad, but you know what I'm saying? A lot of us need to start thinking outside the box. Like, I need to come up with a different terpene, a different profile. Like 2-3 years ago is when I found a melon profile. That was shit was delicious. You know what I'm saying? You don't
Oh
hear a lot of
yeah.
people that have melon flavor or none of this. You know what I'm saying? It's just something unique. Now when peach came out, everybody's running with the peach now. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
I tell people, when you get stuff, the best thing to do is to run it and breed it, because
That's
you're
it.
gonna find something wonderful out of it, man. No matter what you paid for it, no matter if it was free. Then if it was free and the person told you can't give it out, that's different. You breed it and use it for yourself. You go to the party and have the best smoke, but you'll never understand what we go through unless you do it yourself. Just growing is nothing. That's wonderful. That's like skipping over being born and then just turning into a toddler or being a teenager going. But
Oh yeah.
once you have to take your time out and find the F1s, and then you find what you love out of there. And if you want to take it to the next step and do F2s and F3s and F4s, and then that's you. That's just something that I will not be sitting down to do for anybody. You're
Facts.
supposed to find what you want, and then you do it for yourself. Like, I will
Yes.
never get mad somebody make an F2, F3, F4 of my strain because you found something that you loved and you clinched onto it. I'm an
Boom.
F1 type of guy. S1 and F1 type of guy. I
Boom.
if something is fired, then yeah, I might spend to get that F3 if that's the only thing available. But other than that, I'm F1. So anything that will be coming out my camp, as always, will be F1s and S1s. So
Let's go.
you find that beautiful, beautiful pheno that you're looking for inside the pack. Because if you depend on somebody like us, he loves gas. I love fruity gas. You know what I'm saying? You might like fruity gas, but when you go to Beast Coast, you're gonna get that heavy gas, and then you know what I'm saying, you like, damn, I'm looking for the
I was
fruity.
looking for a little
But
bit more
you
fruity in that. Yeah, exactly.
exactly, you know what I'm saying? So, like I said, you have to really look at what the breeder does. You know, if he sits
Yes.
there and he's doing all day, then he's finding something that is his profile, and he's pushing
Exactly.
that on to you. And
Now,
again, don't get me wrong. If that's what you like, then you go for that. But if you really want to smoke, if you really want to get into this, run with the F1s, because you're going
let's
to
go.
find something that somebody else is not going to find in another pack. Every pack is
Facts.
going to be different.
Exactly. And here's the raw but honest truth. Like I love Copycat, but Copycat is on his live stream every day and he's talking about how much seed junkie harms out. and he's talking about how much Riot Seed Company gear herms out. And he's talking about how everybody who's making S1s today are just breeding a bunch of herms. And then people get mad at me when I have to showcase the fact that even though he's talking so much shit about all of the other breeders, his gear hermies too. And then they call me a hypocrite because I'm saying that, yo, I've supported Copycat for over 10 years. I've also found good gear out of Copycat Genetics. My friends have also found good gear out of Copycat Genetics. But I'm telling you the experience that I've had. The experience that I've had is every strain that I've ran from him has found its way to the garbage. And I've had multiple strains that have hermied on me. And if you ever watch his live streams, you'll see people call in that have had strains that hermied on them. Now, when you deal with King Black 420 genetics, I've never had nothing hermy on me. I've never had nobody inbox me telling me that something hermied on them. Now, what I don't like is the unwillingness to be humble. You can't be on here all day talking shit about all of the other breeders and how much hermies you're going to get out of everybody's gear. You can't be on here all day talking shit about how everybody else is late to all of the genetics, but everything that I pop from you smells and tastes like fucking Tangy. Because I popped 6 different strains from Copycat Genetics. Every single one of them smelled like Tangy. And then when he came and he asked me about it, he was like, yo, Beast Coast, wasn't you just talking shit about me? I said, no, I wasn't talking shit about you. I was just being 100. I was just being 100. Unlike the rest of these fucking dick riders that's in here, that's just going to tell you everything they ever got from you is good. I'm going to be the one to be here to tell you, yes, I still fuck with you. Yes, your gear harmed on me. Yes, your gear smelt like Tangy. Yes, I didn't find no keepers out of none of the seed packs that I popped from you, but it's not going to stop me from supporting you because shit happens. Shit happens. I'm not going to say that everything that you breed is just going to be fire. I'm not going to be one of those fucking bandwagon guys that's just on here like, yo, everything that Copy got is fire because a few of my friends found some fire out of his gear. No, I'm not here for that. I'm here for the people. So I don't want people walking into Copycat Genetics, going to his website, buying every fucking strain that he has on the fucking market, assuming that nothing's gonna harm me, assuming that you're gonna find keepers every single time that you pop his gear, assuming that you're gonna find the A1 every single time that you run his gear, and that's not the facts. That's not the facts. The only 2 seed companies that I can say that every time I pop their gear, I found something worth keeping is Empire Breeding Company and Square One Genetics. And the only reason I'm not naming more people is because I haven't popped enough seeds from all the other breeders to be able to say that. Now, I know that Frosty McNasty got some fire, but I'll be sitting here lying to act like I popped every single strain that he had and every single one of them was just on point. I'd be sitting here lying to be able to say that. I'd sit here and be lying to be like, yo, King Black, everything that he got is fire and nothing harmed on me. That would be a lie because I haven't popped enough of his gear to be like nothing harmed on me. Now, have I ever got any messages from Frosty McNasty, from Square One Genetics, from King Black 420 that anything harmed on them? No. Every time I post them and my stories, anytime I post them on my page, is nothing but good feedback in my inbox about what they are doing. Now, the difference with Copycat is his arrogance. This is where you have to learn to be humble. Because if you're humble and just like, hey, I'm just out here trying to breed, I'm just out here trying to create S1s for people, I'm just out here trying to be able to not have people paying $10,000 for a cut. I could give it to you in C form, S1s, and I'm saying for 350, for 250, whatever. And if something harms on you, it just happens. That comes with the breeding game. But when you're on here like, yo, that person's trash, every other breeder is trash except me, and then I get worse results from you than I get from all the other breeders, now I have to say something. And then people want to get mad at me for saying something. I have to say something because I'm here for the people. I don't give a fuck if I'm hurting anybody's feelings about what I'm saying. I'm not here for your feelings. We supposed to be men at the end of the day. If you did some bitch nigga shit, I should be able to tell you you did some bitch nigga shit, and you should be able to be like, you know what, bro, I'm gonna work on that. Not, oh my God, how are you going to say that about my genetics? You should have emailed me in private and told me in private that my gear harmed on you. No, motherfucker, I have to tell the entire world that your gear harmed on me because you've been telling the entire world that Sea Junkie gear harmed me. You've been telling the entire world that everybody else gear harmed me and yours don't. You got this message down pat. You got the breeding down pat to where none of your gear harmies. But then I run your gear multiple times, find multiple hermies and no keepers. I have to tell the people about that. I have to, but I'm still going to follow you. I'm still going to support you. And if people ask me, should I still pop Copycat Genetics gear? I'm still going to say yes. Go for it, because you might find something that I wasn't able to find. but I'm gonna be 100 with you and tell you my experience from dealing with his gear. And the fact is, I haven't found nothing worth keeping yet. But 813, did you have anything you wanted to say?
Nah, like you pretty much summed it up. That's how it pretty much goes down. You know, the one that's always pointing the fingers, stuff always happens to them too. You know
Boom.
what I'm saying? Like me, I've made a strand that when I got it from the person. Now let me tell you this, right? Y'all ever heard of Greenpoint seeds? You ever heard of Greenpoint seeds?
This is my first time hearing about them, but let's go.
Okay. All right, so Greenpoint seeds, that's the first company I ever bought seeds from, right? So I bought some seeds from them. It was a purple elephant stomper. So I was like, okay, cool. I ran it. I ran four. Two was female, two was male. So I killed off the males. I had the females going, right? I go in the flower. 2 weeks in the flower, I see pistols. I'm like, sweet. The next day, I come back. I see nothing but nut sacks everywhere. I was like, whoa.
Oh shit.
You feel me? I'm like, whoa. So I had already cut like 20 clones from it because it's a vigorous plant. It grows crazy. So I killed that one. I ran 10 of the other one. Every last one of them hurt. So I hit him up. I was like, hey, St. Guru, yo, it could be me. I'm growing in Florida. I'm growing this strand and it hermed on me. Buddy told me to get some type of colloidal silver stuff to change it. I was like, what?
Fuck out of here.
I'm not spraying my plant. I was like, I said, I didn't even go online and spray you. I just said, I'm just telling you personally. So this is when somebody says to tell them personally, this is what I did. So I told you personally, and this is what you telling me, that it ain't got nothing to do with you, basically, that I need to go find a different situation. I'm like, damn, bro, this is your strand that you're
Facts.
selling. You
It's
know what
your
I'm saying?
name.
Huh?
This is
Yeah,
your name.
it's your baby, it's your legacy, man, like we were talking about. And so I made it a point that I would never, ever, ever try and push a strand at Hermes. I know we all do that. That's why I run my stuff multiple times. That's why you build a team like how Beast Coast did. I built the team Smoking Buds. And every time I make something, I ship it out to everybody. I got people in DC, Jamaica, um, Vancouver, Australia, um, Lake Wales. I have my stuff all over that's being grown just to see in the different climates and how other people grow it before I even put it on the market. You know what I'm
Yo,
saying? But
facts. Yo,
again, a lot of people, yeah.
I just got a message from Kane owns. And yeah, and that's my only issue. When you sitting here bragging about how good you are at reversing strains, that you found a way to reverse strains that won't have no Hermes, that Colloidal silver and all of the rest of these things don't actually do reversals, and if you do reversals with them, you're gonna find all Hermes. And then I find out that THC Titan is using silver spray, and I've never gotten no Hermes from none of the S1s from THC Titan. When Copycat didn't block me, but he told me I should have inboxed him to tell him about the Hermes instead of going public and telling people I found the Hermes. That didn't rub me the right way. That rubbed me the wrong way. And I'm saying, because if I document all my grows, I don't care who the breeder is from start to finish. Why am I not going to do that with you just because I know you? That's clown shit to me. I don't pick and choose what I'm going to say to people. I have to tell people my experiences with seed companies, with nutrient companies, with lighting companies, and I don't care how it has to come out. I'm only going to tell y'all the raw dog truth. I don't care who feels any type of way about it. I don't owe anybody anything. I paid for every pack of seeds I've ever popped. Only pack of seeds I don't pop is when you see that I'm a tester for somebody. So when I did Empire Breeding Company and he sent me some testers for the Safari Sunset and the Face on Fire, I'm documenting it from start to finish. And if something Hermes, I'm going to tell you that something Hermes. I'm not going to sit here and save no face just because he sent them to me as testers, and I'm only going to show you guys the good ones ones and I'm going to hide all of the bad ones. No, if shit gets fucked up, shit gets fucked up. I'm not here to save no face. I don't care how nobody's going to feel about it. My team is full of breeders. I got King Black 420. I got 813 Genetics. I got Frosty McNasty. I got Square One Genetics. I got XTHC Hybrid. I got so many other breeders on here that make great strains that I don't have time to be trying to save no face just because you sent me a free pack of seeds. I don't care. I'm going to treat that shit like I paid for it, and I'm going to tell you the truth. And Copycat claims to have the magical recipe to be able to get strains that doesn't harm me, even though you have to harm me a strain to S1 it. You're going to deal with the same circumstances that anybody else is dealing with S1 and a strain. And if something hermes multiple times, like when I popped the high octane S1 the very first time, it hermied on me. When I ran a second pheno of high octane crossed with pancakes, it hermied on me.
King.
Go ahead.
Did it hermit on you at the same point? Like
At
from
the
the first
at the exact same point in both and
unstable.
two different flower rooms.
It's unstable.
And two different flower rooms, two different phenos, two different flower rooms. And it hermied on me at the exact same time in both flower rooms. Now, you're not going to sit here and tell me that it's me, because it's two separate flower rooms, two separate phenos, and I had the exact same result at the exact same time from both phenos. It's unstable genetics at that point. And when I said it to him, you know what he said? I would have never ran none of the pancake strains. I didn't really like the pancakes. What the fuck does that have to do with the fact that you selling these seeds for $150 to $250 a pack? If you don't like it, why did you breed it? You just breeding shit you don't even like. See, and that's when I have to speak up on it, whether you my friend or not, because I'm for the people. I am 100% for the people. So if you breeding strains and you telling me, oh, I would have never ran that, the high octane is fire, but I don't know much about the pancakes. It could have been the pancake side of it that made it unstable. Well, motherfucker, did you test it before you decided to release it? Or did you breed a strain, separate the seeds, and start selling them? And then the worst part is you're not even bagging up your own packs of seeds. You got somebody else bagging up your packs of seeds. So they could be putting any sorts of seeds inside of the pack, saving the actual genetics that they actually were supposed to put in the pack and selling them for top dollar to other people. You have no idea because you have no control over the situation. You trust in bitches. And I don't like shit like that. It's just like another breeder. If I have to go to a seed company, if I have to go to a seed bank to be able to get your gear, I don't like that. I should be able to contact you directly to be able to get your gear. If you made this strain and you're the person that created this and you're the person that's selling it, I shouldn't have to go to Labyrinth Seed Co. to be able to get your gear. I should be able to contact you directly to be able to get your gear. Because if I contact the seed company and something goes wrong, the seed company tells me to contact the breeder. When I contact the breeder tells me to contact the seed company. Now I'm at a $250 to $150 per pack that I bought, strictly because you two motherfuckers ain't communicating. And I don't like shit like that. When I deal with Frosty McNasty, I could go to Frosty McNasty to get the seeds. When I deal with Square One Genetics, I can go to Square One Genetics to get the seeds. And when I deal with Empire Breeding Company, I could deal with Empire Breeding Company to be able to get the seeds. When I deal with some of these other seed banks, I got to go to a seed bank to be able to get your gear. And I don't like that. If Gucci's not third-party selling through FUBU, imagine you having to get your Gucci suit through FUBU. Imagine you having to get your Gucci suit through Walmart. And then when something's defective with your Gucci suit, Walmart tells you to contact Gucci. Gucci tells you to contact Walmart the whole time you out of money. I don't like those kind of situations. That's why I liked Copycat Genetics, because not only does he breed his own gear, he sells his own gear, and he's not involved in any of the seed companies. But when your shit is dirt, I have to be 100 and say that the strains were boof. What do you want me to do? If it was Seed Junkie and I said, yo, I got some Seed Junkie gear and it was boof, you'd be like, yeah, I told you not to go to Seed Junkie Genetics. Oh yeah. When I told you not to go there because they breed a bunch of Hermes, yeah, you'd have had a bunch of shit to talk about them. But when I tell you, no, motherfucker, it's your gear that hermied in my garden. Oh, you must have did something wrong, or you must have had a light leak, or you must have had no, because the Square One Genetics gear didn't throw no nanners. The Empire Breeding Company didn't throw no nanners. The King Black 420 Genetics didn't throw no nanners. It was your gear that threw the nanners. The person that talks shit about every other person's gear that throws nanners, no, it was your shit. And now it's like, oh, you should have emailed me before you went public about it. No. I'm going to go public about it first And then I'm going to email you because the people need to know the raw, uncut truth. And that's the reason that we have the Real Talk Cannabis podcast, where we don't owe nobody nothing. We don't have to save no face for nobody. Nobody. We don't care how nobody feels about what it is that we have to say, because we have enough breeders in our circle to be able to not deal with nobody else. And we got enough money in our circle that we're able to purchase cuts that nobody else is able to get. Like when I get this white runts, like I just hit, I'm not even going to put him out there. Fuck that. I'm going to put him out there because he's one hell of a grower. Fire Farmer. Fire Farmer got the white runts, and it's amazing. And I'm going to buy the white runts, and it's going to cost me upwards of $5,000 to be able to get the white runts. Now, the second I get the white runts, King Black 420 is going to get the white runts. XTHC Hybrid is going to get the white runts. Frosty McNasty is going to get the white runts. 813 Genetics is going to get the white runts. And all of them are going to be able to cross everything with the white runts. Because I'm just honest with y'all. I'm going to pay $5,000 for the cut. I'm going to get it to the rest of the homies, and we're going to be able to get you guys gear that we can stand by. And if something happens to your pack of seeds, we're not so butthurt about something happening to your pack of seeds that we're scared to send you out another pack. We'll suck that up as a loss because shit happens, and we'll be able to reimburse you for your pack of seeds. Oh, you popped a pack of seeds and none of them germinated. We're just going to take your word for it. I got you, bro. Here goes another pack. We breeded 10,000 seeds out of it. So fuck it. If something happened to yours here, I'm not even going to say you're a liar. Go ahead. Now, if the second time your seeds don't germinate, I'm going to wonder what the fuck happened to you. I'm going to wonder which way you're germinating. We're not sending out a third pack. I'm just going to warn y'all about that right now. We're not sending you out a third pack. If something happens to the first pack, depending on what happens, we may send you a second pack, but are we going to send you a third pack? No. At that point, we have to wonder what's wrong with you. But Copycat was looking at me like I did something wrong just because your gear hermied on me. Bro, your gear hermied. It ain't the end of the world. Shit happens. And I'm not here to save no face about it because you don't pay me. And even if you paid me, I would still tell the raw, honest truth. I promote HLG Lighting Company. I think HLG has not only the best LEDs on the market, I also think that HLG got the best customer service on the market, and they're 100 about their lighting company. But I also love PLC Lighting Company. I also love Green Gene Garden. I think he has amazing fucking lights. And I'm not going to stop promoting Green Gene just because I like HLG and I'm cool with Grandmaster Level. I'm super cool with Grandmaster Level. But do you think I'm just going to post HLG shit? No. PLC got great lights as well. Great lights as well. And I'm not going to save no face for that just because I'm cool with Grandmaster Level. I don't know if you got anything to say about that, but you can go ahead, 813.
No, you saying everything, King. That's the truth, man. You got to understand. We're gonna share the wealth, but you got to understand. You got to do your part. Like with Copycat, you know what I'm saying? Everything was good until that point, man. Because you're not the only person that I know that stuff has turned out on them, but they're not gonna speak out. They want to keep it quiet because they say they don't want to put no bad news or put shame on it. That's not putting shame. That's just speaking the truth. That's like you buying a Mercedes and you drive it down the street and the engine drops out. It's a brand new Mercedes. There's nothing supposed to be going wrong with it right now. Everything's supposed to be up to date. So if you have something and you're doing it the correct way that you've been doing everything else, and this happens, the best thing to do, like you say, customer service, is ask a couple questions and just give a new pack and be like, hey, try it this way, try it that way, because there's nothing that ever going to leave the camp that's not tested. I don't understand how you say, oh, it could be this half of it or it could be that half of it. That makes no sense right there.
Boom.
You know what I'm saying? That makes no sense, because when you're putting something out on the market, like you said, you're putting your face out there. And again, every time we do see him on his live, we're not even trying to talk shit about him. He's always breaking down the new plant. The plant looks beautiful. He's busting out the seeds out of it, but you never see him plant those seeds to grow. You see that by the time he's finished with the episode, 2 days later, they're on the market for sale. You know what I'm saying? So that
20
goes
strains a week, bro. 20 strains a week. You're not telling me that you're testing and then he says it's unnecessary to test the strains. because you bred fire with fire. Now what happens when you cross? Now what happens when you cross Gorilla Glue with a cookies? And we know that Gorilla Glue is an unstable genetic. We know that cookies is an unstable genetic. So when you cross the two and you get the glookies or you get the Gorilla cookies, you're dealing with some issues because you're dealing with two strains that are unstable. See, this is what I like about Capulator. Now, I don't like all the Capulator's gear, but Capulator wouldn't release the Mac S1s because he couldn't get the Mac S1s to give him a high enough ratio of strains that did not hermy on him. And when too many strains hermied on him, he did not release the seeds. Capulator also had another strain. Damn it, I forgot the name of it. I was just looking on his site earlier, and Capulator had another strain where he found a really good pheno, and he'd be willing to part with the pheno, but he's not willing to part with the seeds because he didn't get a high enough germination to female ratio. He got way too many Hermes out of the gear, so he refused to release the gear. Now, I respect shit like that. I love shit like that because at that point you keeping it 100, even though you breeded the gear. Even though you made that cross, you took the time out of it to run 100, to run 50, to run 30 seeds of it. And out of the 30 seeds that you're crossing, goddamn, I popped the seeds. And out of 10 seeds, I got 4 Hermes. That's way too many for me, so I'm not going to release the seeds. I love that. I love that because even though the other 10 seeds you might have got 10 straight females that was straight fire. But just because you got 4 Hermes out of the seed run you did out of some shit you created, you won't release the seeds. And I respect that.
Now, King, I want to ask you about another seed breeder that rubbed
Let's
me
go. Let's go.
Vader.
What's the name of it?
Vader.
Vader?
Yeah, Vader.
Oh, you don't, bro. You really want me to talk about it? You really want me to talk about it?
Yeah. Yes, I do.
All right. Go ahead and mute your mic.
I'm about to right now.
Vader OG. I've ran the Fader Actual. I've ran the Jedi OG. I've ran the, what the fuck is the one that has the Alien Rift? I've ran a whole bunch of Vader's gear. If you notice, there's no Vader gear in my garden because it was fucking boof. All of it, fucking boof. As much shit as he talks about being a guy who has all of the OGs and he got the Ghost OG and the Vader OG as a triple OG back cross, everything smelled like pine and fucking lemon. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with homegrown because most of us are home growers, but you guys know what I mean by homegrown. Most of that shit was fucking boof. The Alien Rift is trash. Trash. I don't care what nobody say. Alien Rift is trash. The Fader Actual, fucking trash. Trash. Vader OG got some of the boofiest fucking gear I've ever ran in my life. And that's just the truth. And I love Vader. I love the way he grows. I love the knowledge that he has about growing. I love the knowledge that Vader has about breeding. I love that he's been a breeder a long time in the game. But I've never, and I repeat, I have never found anything good out of any of Vader's gear. And I don't care what it is. I've been following Vader for up to 8 years. I have never found anything good from Vader, ever. And I don't like the way that he treated Stone Ninja. But you can go ahead, bro.
Yeah, that is correct, bro. I grow the Malibu Pie, hot trash. And yeah, I didn't like how he did Ninja either, man. Especially when I met him, man. He act like he wasn't who he was. You know what I'm saying? He was like, "Who, me?" I'm like, "Man, I'm not the type to be playing. I'm a grown man. I'm just coming to give you respect. You feel me? I'm not out here trying to set you up or nothing." He's just like looking around, and it's, you know, when you effed over so many people, bro, and you gotta look over your shoulder like that. It's just, you know, it just rubbed me the wrong way, man. A lot of people you expect, like the mental dope boys, the way you expect them to act, that's exactly how they act with you, bro. They have
Bro,
no
talk about it.
problem. There's no problem. They will sit down. As soon as they're done speaking with who they're speaking with, they'll talk to you, a newbie, like they're talking to a novice. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like a professional grower, bro. When we sat down and talked, it was like the hour felt like days and months
Bro,
So
they so real, so real, so
real,
positive, so real. I love Mendo Dope, man. Love them.
just down to earth, bro. I mean, that's when we talk about growers and we talk about people, you know, saying in the industry that you should model yourself after. You should be a humble person. This is a humble plant. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we all created this together. It's not just one individual's um cup of tea. It's everybody's cup of tea. You know what I'm saying? And when a lot of people are trying to hold a kettle to themselves, then it shows in the industry. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I'm the type of person, and I know you are, and Frosty is, and low key. You know, we're here to show you the love, and we're here to give. And
Hold
I'm
up,
the
hold
type
up,
of
hold up, hold up, hold up, hold up. Because I feel like on my live stream, we don't talk enough about low key grow. I
oh
fucking
yeah,
love low key grow, man. That is the fucking homie right there. That's the homie right there.
yes, King,
Oh,
yes.
hold up, hold up, hold up, hold up, bro. We just got the ultimate question. What about Gage Green Group? I'm gonna let you speak on Gage Green Group before I do. Go ahead.
Well, Gage Green Group, man. Hey, let's just say a lot of that stuff is not theirs. I'm gonna let you speak on that, King. Go ahead, man.
Bro,
Go
are we
ahead.
gonna talk about the open pollination of 20 different males that they had crossed with 50 different females, and they decided to release seeds, and you could go ahead and buy the seeds from 20 different males that cross 30 different females in an outdoor pollination situation? Are we going to talk about the fact they sell $1,200 packs of seeds? Are we going to talk about Riot Seed Company that I paid for the blueberry muffin? No, was it no the blue cookie crumble? Is that the name of it? The blue cookie crumble. I think I paid almost $500 for a pack of seeds. Not one of them germinated. The strawberry.
No, no,
Bro,
don't
bro,
say
hold up. The strawberry, I forgot the name of it. It was strawberry something that I bought from them. It cost like $400 for a pack of seeds. Not one of them germinated. There was another strain. They lucky I don't go to the vault right now and pull out all of the rest of the Riot Seed Company gear that I got and the Gage Green Group gear that I got. That was all boof. All of it. Boof. All of it. Every single strain, boof. Same as Vader, because Vader, I swear to God, I've ran so much Vader gear from being able to watch Vader. I loved everything he was doing. I love how he built out the breathing chambers. I love this flood and drain system. I love the knowledge that he had. But when it came to buying his gear, all of it was boof. Gage Green Group, all of it was boof. Riot Seed Company, all of it was boof. Exotic Genetics, all of it was boof. Copycat Genetics, all of it was boof. All of the biggest breeders who everyone always talks about. It's, you know who makes the best genetics? It's the ones that nobody talks about. It's the Frosty McNasties. It's the King Black 420s. It's the 813 Genetics. It's the Square One Genetics. It's the Empire Breeding Company. It's the Med Grower Ones. It's all of the small breeders that actually take the time to perfect their craft. It's all of the breeders that actually love what they're doing, that actually take fire, cross it with fire, and run it and test it before they decide to release it to the public. It's those breeders that are the best fucking breeders that I've ever had. Most of the gear I run, nobody knows who those people are.
exactly. Not to cut you off, King.
Let's
Not
go.
only run it, but show you that we're running it. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people be like, "Oh yeah, this is the plant right here," and then I crossed it with this right here, and then this is it, and everybody's like, "Whoa, so
Yes.
purple," but that's not the plant though. You don't even know who's gonna get that phenol.
Boom. Hold up. Hold up. Hold up. Hold up. Hold up. Hold up. We don't know if we gonna get that pheno. We have no idea if that's the pheno that we gonna get. Like, look, I've had nothing but bad luck from copycat genetics, but I could go to Elevated Seco. I'm at Elevated Cannabis. I can go to Elevated Cannabis and I could buy the cuts that he purchased from Square One Genetics. All fire. I could go to Grow Gods with 2 Ds, Grow Godds. Make sure y'all get over to Instagram, Grow Gods. GROWGODDS. Get over to Grow God. He got nothing but fire. He had this Mac Miller. Oh my God, fire from Square One Genetics. Elevated Cannabis, fire from Square One Genetics. Me, I pop Square One Genetics, boof, every single time. And my last round, you could see a whole floor full of nothing but the pheno hunts that I did from Copycat Genetics. Boof. All of it. Boof. Because those are people who really don't care about what they're selling to the people. They care about how much money they're going to be able to recoup off of the crosses that they make. You talking about that King's cookies? Yo, King Black 420, tell him about that King's cookies, that peanut butter cookie, man. What? Karma's packs are always good. Blue Goblin 82208. Yeah. I mean copycat. Blue Goblin 82208. Karma's packs. I'm running a Karma Sour Diesel right now. Fire. But Copycat Genetics will tell you not to ever run no Karma gear, but the S1 Karma's gear. Copycat Genetics will tell you not to run none of Square One Genetics gear, but the S1 the peanut butter cookies. Karma Genetics will tell you not to, Copycat Genetics will tell you not to run none of Seed Junkies gear, but he does a 300 seed pheno hunt of Seed Junkies gear every 2 months. He'll tell you not to run none of Exotics gear, but he's doing a 300 seed pheno hunt every 2 months of Exotics gear. Y'all have to get a mind for yourselves. Y'all have to get a brain for yourselves. Y'all have to get onto these breeders and go ahead and run it yourself before you just assume just because somebody talks a good game that they also have a good game. Like I know Frosty McNasty ain't playing no fucking games. He don't grow nothing but fire. And if something ain't fire enough, I don't care how much he paid for the cut, that shit is dead. I gave him the Brisker OG. You know what he did with the Brisker OG? That shit made it to the trash bin because it didn't do good enough for him. I love that. I gave him the peanut butter cookies. It didn't do good enough for him. He bought the Square One Genetics cut of peanut butter cookies. It didn't do good enough for him, so that shit made it to the trash bin. I love that. He did Ethos Genetics. Ethos Genetics was fire. But guess what? I don't see him dealing with none of the Ethos Genetics no more because apparently it wasn't good enough for what he was already doing. I love breeders like that. I love breeders who, no matter how fire something is, if it doesn't make the cut, it doesn't make the cut. That's when you could feel comfortable buying gear from somebody. When something doesn't make the cut, it doesn't make the cut. I don't care about what situation it is. I don't care about how big the name is. I don't care about how hyped the strain is. If the shit doesn't make the cut, Frosty McNasty might be the only person who bought a cut of runts, found out it wasn't the cut of runts that he was normally getting as supposed to be the cut of runts, and called it fronts and made a whole fucking video about how it wasn't the actual cut of runts that he was looking for, but he still grew it. He still showed you the flower from it. He still showed you his outdoor harvest from it. He still showed you pictures of it. He still showed you all of that and then told you, well, this ain't the actual cut of runts that I thought was supposed to be the runts. That's a gangster. That's a fucking gangster. So if y'all not following Frosty McNasty, you bugging, because he's a breeder who will run a strain, and no matter how fire the strain is, if that shit don't make the cut, that shit don't make the cut. I remember where he was talking about the Square One Genetics that I gave him. And he said, yo, look, if you're looking for this, it's fire. If you're looking for the terpenes, it's fire. But the shit don't veg fast enough for me. So it's not going to make it. And I'm going to stop growing it right now. He told me when the Poly Shore, like, yo, I got so much shit better than the Poly Shore that I'm not going to run the Poly Shore no more. I may wind up crossing it in the future, but the Poly Shore just ain't what the people are looking for compared to what else I'm getting. That's fucking gangster, because the Poly Shore is fire. But apparently he found something that's even more fire than the Poly Shore. So you know what he did? Poly Shore gets on the back burner and that shit gets killed. That's gangster. That's a real breeder for you. That's somebody that's really trying to please the people for you. And I love that. I love that. I love people who don't save face just because of a name. I love that. 813, my bad. You can go ahead.
Oh no, you pretty much wrapped that up, King. That's it, man. You know you have to show face for what you do.
Facts.
You have to understand that regardless if you didn't run it, say you ain't running. Let it be known. So if anything happens, you already covered. You know
Boom.
what I mean? And then you have your contingency plan afterwards, like, okay, I have these so many set aside for anybody that says their stuff hurt. You know what I mean?
Boom.
If you get 2 or 3 calls saying that your shit hurt, and these people don't follow each other, then your shit hurt. You know
Yo,
what I'm saying? These are two completely different people.
I remember I was watching Copycat maybe maybe like 5 days ago, 6 days ago. And somebody said, Joe, they jumped in his live stream, they showed his grow, and his grow was beautiful. It wasn't the biggest room in the world, but his plants were healthy, they were nice. And he said, Joe, my Runts S1 hermied on me and seeded my whole room. And I'm not talking about a small hermie, I'm talking about every single plant in his room is loaded with seeds. Copycat Genetics blamed it on the exhaust system in the middle of winter. So you mean to tell me that people are having plants outdoor that are males that are sucking enough pollen into your room to hermy and pollinate your entire room? And you're going to blame it on the exhaust? See, I don't like shit like that. And I still love Copycat Genetics because I've been following them for the longest. But if I'm going to be on the Real Talk Cannabis podcast, I have to give y'all the real talk. Somebody came on his stream the other day and said my Runt S1 hermied on me. And then right after I said something about that video, somebody actually went in my inbox and was like, yo, I bought the Runt S1 from Copycat Genetics and it hermied on me. And then somebody else inboxed me and said, yo, I brought the Copycat Genetics S1 Runt and it hermied on me. So there's about 6 messages I got telling me that Copycat Genetics S1 Runt hermied on them. But when the person gets on his live stream and says something about it, he blows it off like it's a joke.
And
Blows it off like it's a joke.
the reason he does is because the 6 people that should be telling him is telling you.
Boom! Boom!
So those that are trying to be kosher and not get cussed out by the grow god, you're letting other people get their shit fucked up.
Facts.
Now, you just said there was a nice room, nice plants, and it all got seeded. He can't do nothing with that. If that plant gets hermed, those are herms.
Facts.
So
Facts.
if 6 other people, that's 7 people then that has already said that this shit herms.
Facts. Same strain. Same strain.
That's unreal.
Same strain, bro.
You made enough money to suck it up, apologize, and everybody's gonna forget about the shit tomorrow.
Facts.
Like nobody's gonna hold that herm shit against you unless you keep blaming the other people, bro.
Boom. Every time you gear hermy, if you want to blame the grower, then of course you're gonna run into some people that are like, yo, you just making excuses at this point. And I'm one to say he's making excuses at this point because what happened? Somebody brought some pollen into his room and just threw some pollen around his room and let it seed his entire crop, along with the 6 other people who said the exact same strain hermed on them. No, the strain is a fucking hermy. The strain is unstable. You may need to actually send some testers out. And what I don't like is he bashes people who'll be like, hey, I want to send some testers out to people to be able to grow it and let me know how good or bad it does. Because to me, that's whack. Because if you bred fire with fire, it's automatically supposed to be fire. That's not the truth because I'm a dog breeder. And I can't say that if I take my female dog and I mate her with my male dog, that I'm going to come out with puppies like that. Because what were their parents? What were their parents' parents? What were their parents' parents?
Exactly. King.
We don't know what's in the bloodline of this. What if Runts was an unstable strain to start off with? And then you make it more unstable by turning it into a hermy to S1 it. What's going to happen?
You already know it's an unstable strain. You know where it came from.
Everything that came from Cookies is an unstable strain. It was a mistake.
And Gelato came from Cookies.
Boom.
It's all the same thing. So everybody's racing to find the most stable strand of an unstable strand.
Boom.
You know what I'm saying? And people just have to understand that you have to run it. Like you said, he's pumping out 20 strands.
20 new strains a week.
20 new strands a week. There's no way that you're testing any of these.
but
And
then
back
talking shit
to
about the people who release one strain every 3 to 6 months. But those
right.
people who are releasing one strain every 3 to 6 months is because they want to perfect their craft before they release it to the people, so they don't get a bad rap on their name for releasing shit that is untested, unstable, and gives a bunch of hermies. But then at the same time, you're going to talk shit about the breeders who test their strains. But you're not testing your strains, and I can guarantee, and it's not even that I can guarantee you, I can screenshot the messages of the amount of people finding Hermes in your gear. I thought Seed Junkie was the one that was producing all of the Herms. What happened? Seed Junkie is booming,
He got the
booming,
seed from Seed Junkie. He got the
boom.
text from
Get
these
the
people.
pheno hunt from Seed Junkie's gear. Where did you
Like
get wedding cake from? Where did you get
what?
Cushman's from? Where did you get
Exactly.
gelato from? Where that was Seed Junkie's gear. That was
Listen,
Real Canado's gear. That
you
was
gotta
Jungle
listen to
Boy's
this.
gear.
You gotta listen to them. The people, if you let them talk long enough, they'll expose themselves.
Talk about it.
He was on there talking about how he spent 10 grand on the cut. He had to wait outside behind the building. The dude threw the cut over in the trash can and he picked it up.
Boom.
You know, all of that you went through. I understand why you want what you want for your seeds. But if you're saying that you're taking fire and you're crossing it with fire, okay, cool. That would be a good concept, but you need stable and stable to make stable.
Talk about it.
You feel what I'm saying? Now, if you would word it differently other than fire and say stable, then we will understand. But you're not using stable genetics because you're saying fire. So if I'm using stable genetics and people keep saying shit hurt, I'm going to say it's stable. I'm not going to say, oh, I'm using fire and fire, so it makes this. Just like the people that are breeding and be like, oh, I got a 28% THC plant and a 30% THC plant. Now I'm going to have 50% THC. It doesn't work like that. It's math, simple math. It averages out between the both
Facts.
of them. You might get a 28 and a 30, and you might come out with a 25. You know what I'm saying? It
Boom.
all depends. And another thing, high THC level doesn't mean that your high is going to be the most excellent high. It doesn't
Talk
mean the high.
about it.
It doesn't mean that your high is going to be crisp. It's going to be perfect. You could smoke some GDP and get a better, longer lasting high than you can when you smoke some runs. You know what I'm
Talk
saying?
about it. Now that you mentioned runts, I actually got two topics. You probably see them in the chat that me and you got, but I'm gonna address one and then I'm gonna address the other one.
Okay, I'm
The
gonna mute
fa-
it.
okay, the fact that the man has two different aliases is one thing why he need to start fresh. Now the reason that he needs to start fresh is because he was on a bunch of drugs, he was on a bunch of alcohol when he was under the Big Dan label. And actually, he still releases seeds under the Big Dan website. So if you ever go to Big Dan Genetics, you can actually see that he's still releasing seeds to this very day under Big Dan. But he had to revamp himself by coming out as Copycat Genetics because when he was
Yeah,
on the
and you remember he acted like he don't know who the hell Big Dan is. I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, it
He
was
act
it
like he
was
don't think
because
that's
of
him.
it was because of His and Her Grow. Make sure that y'all get over. If any of my moderators got the link to His and Her Grow channel, post that in the comment section. But it was because of His and Her Grow. They said, look, you sent me a pack of duds. And in order for us to take the video down that we made about you, we want you to tell people that you are Big Dan and you're not just Copycat Genetics, that you're also Big Dan. So he did come out and finally say it. And to this day, he'll tell you to get over to the Big Dan website if you want certain strains, get over to the Copycat Genetics side if you want mainly like the S ones. Like his seeds that he create from scratch, like the F ones, you'll see them on the Big Dan website. His S ones, you'll see from the Copycat Genetics website. So the reason that he needed to start fresh is because he fucked up in the past by burning so many people by being on drugs. And I'm not going to say that people don't have the right to become a new person. I'm not going to say that people don't have the right to make mistakes and then come back and try to revamp themselves, because there's many other companies that did it and y'all didn't have no issues with it. So that's not my issue. My issue is when you bash all of the other breeders for the same shit that's happening with your genetics. That's my issue. Don't bash Seed Junkie because you said Seed Junkie gives a bunch of harms. Because the ice cream cake I got from Seed Junkie not only is more vigorous, not only germinated faster, but also does a very great job. Every pheno of ice cream cake that I popped from Seed Junkie Genetics could have been a keeper. Could have been a keeper. Every strain I popped from Copycat Genetics could have made its way to the fucking trash can. I popped the East Coast Sour Diesel, smelt like Tangy, made it to the trash can. I popped the High Octane Cross with Pancakes, made it to the trash can. I popped the Federal Reserve Cross with Pancakes, made it to the trash can. I popped his Karma Sour Diesel, made it to the trash can. I popped his Platinum Girl Scout cookie, made it to the trash can. Everything I popped from Seed Junkie Genetics, I still have. I still have it. So it's not like you can just talk shit about another breeding company and say yours is the best, and I'm having worse results from your seed company than I'm having from other seed companies. Now, the other thing is, someone says that Runts does not deserve the hype it gets, and I agree 100%. Runts is gelato and a Beamer. So if gelato was riding in a Honda, it would be gelato. If gelato was riding in a Beamer, it would be Runts. Runts is just gelato with a little bit of grabba in the blunt. So if you decided to go ahead and dry you out some Fronto and put it in a rolling paper with you and roll you up something nice, that's fucking Runts. Runts is gelato and a Beamer. That's the only fucking difference. Runts is dirt. You're not going to tell me that Runts is better than Peanut Butter Cookie. You ain't going to tell me Runts is better than Brisker OG. You ain't going to tell me that Runts is better than Cement Shoes. You ain't going to tell me that Runts is better than anything I got from Frosty McNaughty. You ain't going to tell me Runts is better than that King's Cookies. You ain't going to tell me that Runts is better than any of the breeders who I deal with, because we don't smoke Runts. We don't smoke that shit. Runts, what? That shit better be cheap when we get it. We don't want no fucking Runts. Runts is gelato and a Beamer. So if gelato decided to upgrade its car game tomorrow, it would be Runts. But it's still fucking gelato. Skittles is dirt. Gelato is dirt. That kid is dirt. Yeah. So if I took a fucking mud off the street and I crossed it with another mud off the street, I'm not expecting to get no good dogs out of this breed. Now, if I took an AKC registered pit bull and I crossed it with another AKC registered pit bull that I knew the grandparents, that I knew the great grandparents, that I knew everything in his lineage about, of course I'm looking to get some good dogs out of this breed. But when I take gelato and I cross it with fucking Skittles, am I expecting to get anything good out of this? Fuck no. Fuck no, I didn't like Skittles and I didn't like gelato. I damn sure ain't gonna like they fucking kid. That's the end of the story. So all y'all talking about Runts, you must have never had peanut butter cookies from Square One Genetics. You must have never had Polly Shore from Square One Genetics. You must have never had Brisker OG from Square One Genetics. You must have never had no Frosty Gear. You must have never had no 813 Genetics. You must have never had no King Black 420. You must have never had no XTHC hybrid. You must have never had none of these strains to still think that Runts is fire. First off, Runts is like 2 years old at this point. First off, Runts is like 2 years old at this point. 813,
Yes,
I hear you. I hear you in the building. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, King. We had a message where somebody was saying how he took the name from the dead man.
Can I
What
address
it
that?
says now.
Can I address that?
Yes, please address it. I just wanted you to hit that. I didn't want to cut you off. I wanted you to still hit both topics you were
Nah,
on.
I'll go back in afterwards. So it's not that he took the name from the dead man. The nigga who died actually was working with him. And what happened is he was a fucking drug addict. He actually died from a drug overdose because he was doing too much drugs. So what he was doing is he would buy copycat genetics in bulk and he would resell it under the same brand. But he was sending people hemp seeds. And then he winds up dying. Now that he's dead, people think that he's the one that's actually behind copycat genetics, and he's not the one behind copycat genetics. He was the one who was buying copycat genetics and selling hemp seeds to people. So copycat genetics actually had to revamp himself 3 times. He had to revamp himself as Big Dan, then he had to revamp himself as copycat genetics, then he had to revamp himself as copycat genetics. That's just the facts. It doesn't take away the fact that everything I found from him was boof. It doesn't take away the fact that the High Octane Cross with Pancakes hermied on me twice in 2 different rooms with 2 different phenos. I'm not going to take that away from nothing. But if you think that drug user that died from a drug overdose is now the person who was behind copycat genetics, that person who was selling those seeds never grew a plant in his fucking life. That's just the truth. And yeah, and now he got so high. So yeah, that's just the truth. That's just the truth. And I'm still not going to take away the fact that his gear hermed on me. I'm still not going to take away the fact that his gear hermed on a whole bunch of other people. I'm still not going to take away the fact that I've popped 6 or 7 different strains from him and not found the keeper yet. But I popped I popped 5 Brisker OGs. I found 5 keepers. I found 3 Polly Shores. I found 2 keepers. I found 2 peanut butter cookies. I found 2 keepers. I found 1 ocean fruit. It was a fucking keeper. I found the zombie breath. It was a fucking keeper. Everything I popped from Square One Genetics, keeper. I popped the Dominatrix from Empire Breeding Co. It was a keeper. I popped the Lemon Lava Drop from Empire Breeding Co. It was a keeper. There were so many strains that were just straight up keepers that there's no excuse for nobody else not being able to find a keeper out of copycat genetics. But then it makes me mad when I'm looking at some of my homies and I want to buy a cut from them and they pop the seeds from copycat genetics. So it also shows that there's a problem with packaging. It shows that there's a problem with packaging. Somebody is sending people something that is completely different from what they're looking for. Because when I popped the East Coast Sour Diesel, all of the strains were purple. All of them smelled like Tangy. But then Elevated pops the East Coast Sour Diesel. He finds a Sour Diesel. My homie Grow God pops the East Coast Sour Diesel. He finds a Sour Diesel. I got 4 different phenols. Four different phenols of East Coast Sour Diesel. Every single one of them smelled like Tangy. Every single one of them was purple. Every single one of them was boof. So I'm not going to lie to y'all about that. This is the Real Talk
Not from
Cannabis podcast. We
S1.
ain't here to sugarcoat nothing. Go ahead, 813.
No, not from S1.
From S1s.
No, not from S1.
Completely different phenols. 4 of them.
Wow.
Completely different phenols, bro. 4 completely different phenols of East Coast Sour Diesel. Every single one of them was purple. Every single one of them smelled like citrus. And anybody who knows me know there's probably no terpene profile that bothers me more than citrus and pine. Pine and citrus are my worst fucking enemies. I'm a high energy person. I'm a person who lives on an alkaline diet. I don't have a problem with depression. I don't have a problem with a lack of energy. I don't have an iron deficiency. So I'm not lacking in any sort of energy. So I'm not somebody who wants to smoke Jack Herrera. I'm not somebody who wants to smoke Blue Dream. I'm not somebody who wants to smoke any sort of citrus or pine kind of strains. So when I'm popping East Coast Sour Diesel, first off, it's called East Coast Sour Diesel. I'm assuming it's that New York Dowie. Now, anybody who's from the East Coast know what that Dowie is. There's sour, and then there's that Dowie. Yo, King Black 420, please give me a comment on this and let them know about that Dowie. 813, I remember you on a live stream. It might not have been the last one. It might have been the one before it that says that people don't know what sour diesel is until you got sour diesel from New York. I'm telling you that Dowie, that's what I'm looking for when I'm hearing East Coast Sour Diesel. And I got nothing but citrus smelling strains. 4 completely different phenols from S1s.
That's unreal, King. That is unreal.
Unreal, bro.
Wow.
Unreal. And
That's
then he had the
unreal.
nerve that when I was in his live stream, I said, "What's the strain we looking at?" He said, "Beast Cokes, why do you care about the strain that you're looking at? Didn't you say my gear just harmed on you?" I said, "Yes, it did." He said, "Didn't you just say that the phenol hunt you just did from my strains made its way to the trash can?" I said, "Yes, I did." He said, "Didn't you just say that you're not going to pop any more copycat gear?" I said, "Yes, I did." He said, "So why do you care about the phenol that you're looking at?" I said, "Because it looks fire." What do you want me to do? Lie? You want me to lie and say that the strain I'm looking at doesn't look fire? I'm telling you that even though you're showing us what we're supposed to be able to purchase from your website, that what I'm popping doesn't look anything like the strains that other people who are close to you are getting. Elevated Cannabis gets some fucking fire from copycat genetics. I popped some of the same exact strains that Elevated popped, and I didn't get anything that looked anything close to what Elevated got. So it almost feels like Elevated is getting the actual crosses, and I'm getting whatever the fuck the packager decides to throw in a package and send to me. That's just the truth. It's not that I don't support you. It's that I'm honest. I'm honest. I'm not here to sugarcoat nothing. I'm not a dick rider. I don't owe you nothing. Just because you got a little bit of money, you think that I'm supposed to care about how the fuck you feel? You think Frosty McNasty don't got no fucking money? You think Low Key Growing 813 Genetics and Beast Coast Grower don't got no fucking money? You think Delmora Sampson don't got no fucking money, nigga? We don't care about what type of fucking money you got.
You want to pay for what you get. You want what you pay
Facts.
for. Pay for what you get, and you want what you pay for. That's it. That is it, man. You want that sour. It's not that hard.
Not that hard.
Sour has no pine or citrus smell to it. It has its own sour smell
Talk
to
about
it.
it.
You feel what I'm saying? You have to understand. You never had sour. I'm not talking about West Coast. Not talking about East Coast down here in Florida. I'm talking about New York. When you go there, it's fuzzy. Oh my God! Listen, you never had sour till
Bruh.
you and if you never had it, you will never understand it. You might have had it crossed with something. That's why you think that it has to taste like this, but that's not it,
Let
bro.
me tell y'all something. AJ Sour Diesel is not Sour Diesel.
No,
AJ
no.
Sour Diesel is not Sour
That's what
Diesel. We're
that's
talking
West
about
Coast
that
sour.
real New York Autobahn fucking sour. When we're talking about haze, y'all don't understand what we're talking about. On the West Coast, haze is like Jack Herrera. Haze is like Blue Dream. Haze is really a completely different thing. Don't tell me you know haze and you ain't never came to New York and went to the projects and got no haze. You ain't talking about the same haze we talking about. You ain't talking about the same sour that we talking about. I'm talking about when Blueberry was pumping. We didn't smoke no fucking Blueberry. When White Widow was pumping, we didn't smoke no fucking White Widow. When Northern Lights was pumping, we didn't fuck with no fucking White Widow. We wanted that Dowie. And Delmore Sampson, you know what I'm talking about because we know better than anybody what these strains are because we had the real people who had these real strains. When y'all talking about G13, y'all not talking about the G13 that we talking about. Now, it may be some of the breeders' fault for sending us shit that may have had the wrong name because today if I went to look for G13 it would be piney, it wouldn't be the G13 that we talking about. Yo, sleep. You know the G13 that I'm talking about, where the crystals was so fucking heavy that when you was breaking the weed up, you can feel the fucking crystals off of the G13. They not talking about that G13 no more. When we talking about the kryptonite, they ain't talking about the same kryptonite we talking about, where the crystals was so big you can feel your fingers rubbing against the crystals as you was breaking the weed up. They not talking about that sour that we talking about, that a .4 in your fucking pocket, a motherfucker can smell from all the way up another block, where you pop that baggie out your pocket, or if you got a half a dime bag. Now, a dime bag was only .7. So if you got half of that in your fucking sock, you walk in the store and everybody got to ask you where the gas at. We talking about that sour diesel. We're not talking about the AJ's Cutter sour diesel. We're not talking about none of these other people's sour diesel. We're talking about that real New York sour. Y'all don't know nothing about that. And Copycat claimed to have that cut of sour. And when I popped four different phenols of it, ran it indoor and outdoor, I got the same results from indoor and outdoor. And it was boof. And it was boof. But I still love Copycat Genetics because I've supported them for over 10 years. And I can't lie to y'all and act like I don't support Copycat Genetics because that's the homie. And I personally know him and I've supported him for over 10 years. But am I going to tell y'all to go today and go purchase a bunch of Copycat Genetics? No, get over to Square One Genetics. Get over to King Black 420, get over to 813 Genetics, get over to Frosty McNasty, get over to XTHC Hybrid, and go and get you some shit that we know is verified. Verified. We're talking about these breeders grew out their own seeds that took out their own time. Some of these breeders ain't growing as big as I am. Some of them don't have 8 light rooms. Some of them don't have multiple facilities. Some of them are using the same tent that they breeded in to be able to test their own gear, wasting months out of their life when they could have just made the cross and released it to y'all. They could have just made the cross and released it to y'all the same way that Copycat does. No, they took the time to make sure that the germination ratio was good. They took the time to make sure that the male to female ratio was good. They took the time to make sure that they're not getting no Hermes out of their gear before they decided to have your money for it. It goes back to the suckers that we had. What was it on the it was on the first podcast we did, 813 Genetics, where we said suckers get got. That's just what happens. Suckers get got. When you guys fall in love with the personality of the person who you watching on Instagram and YouTube all day, you automatically decide to go and purchase their gear just because you fell in love with the personality of the person. But it doesn't come down to what the quality is of what you're purchasing from that person. And that's what it comes down to. The quality. Does this person actually have love for what they're releasing to you? 813, go ahead. My fault.
No, go. I was agreeing with you when we were talking about what we were talking about on the first podcast.
Yeah. When we were talking about it on the first podcast, there were some people who inboxed me and was like, "Hey, bro, when Copycat was Big Dan, I sent him $6,000 to try to get some packs off of him, and he beat me off of the money." And the first thing I said is, "Suckers get fucking got." If you met somebody on Instagram or YouTube and you decided to watch a couple of their videos, and because you liked what you seen in a couple of those videos, you decided to send them $6,000 and ask for some packs over the internet, and he took your money and didn't send you the packs, that's your fucking fault. That's your fucking fault. It's as bad as the people who inbox you in the middle of the night on Facebook saying, "Hey, not to disturb you, not to be disrespectful, but I'm going to connect from California and I could get you packs for $400. So if you want to buy 10, I could get you them for $300. Send me 3,000 right now and I'll send the packs out tomorrow. Here's a picture of the packs and here's my hand with the packs. Ask me to write anything you want to and I'll write it on the packs." First off, the packs that they're showing you is CBD. The packs they're showing you is CBD. And then if you're dumb enough to fall for anything like that, suckers get got. And there's nothing that I'm going to feel no type of way about it, about suckers getting got. You should not fall in love with the personality of the growers. You should fall in love with the results that the growers give. Fall in love with the results that you get from the growers. I didn't know Square One Genetics from a hole in the wall. I've been watching Square One Genetics since he had a 3-light room. And y'all know how far he's came from his 3-light HPS room to his 8-light LED room. Y'all know how far he's came. I've been watching him since he grew Tahoe OG. Before he crossed the Tahoe with the peanut butter cookies to make the Brisker OG. I watched him do that. Before he made the peanut butter cookies by crossing the Forum Cup with the peanut butter breath. I watched him do that. Before he made the Polyshore, crossing the Polynesian cookie haze with the peanut butter breath. I watched him do that. I was able to watch these growers from start to finish. I like the results. I ran the seeds. I got great results. So I could advertise to you guys that it's safe to go ahead and purchase those genetics. Am I going to tell you it's safe to go purchase copycat gear? I don't know. I don't know. That's the realest answer I could give you because some of my homies is finding fire. Some of my homies is finding duds. So I'm telling you it's a 50-50 chance. If you really want to strain, go for it. You may find a keeper out of a pack. If you low on money, I'm telling you to go to Square One Genetics, go to King Black 420, go to 813 Genetics, go to Frosty McNasty, get you some guaranteed seeds of people who gave love to these plants that's not releasing 20 strains a week. They're barely releasing 20 strains a year, but they're taking the time out. You know what the difference is? It's the difference between going to McDonald's and getting you a Big Mac and going to Big Mama's house and getting you a double cheeseburger. There's a big difference between what Big Mama gonna give you when she cook you that food. There's gonna be an extra amount of love into that food that Big Mama made for you compared to what McDonald's is microwaving and giving to you. There's a major difference. So go with the people who are making those handcrafted, taking their time out, putting their blood, sweat, and tears into that. That's the people you want to go to. You don't want to go to the Walmart of the cannabis industry. You don't want to go to that because you're going to deal with the same problems you deal with when you buy shit from Walmart. You buy shit and then you got to go back next week and buy it again. Go ahead, 813.
All right, so how do you feel about Jay-Z stepping into the cannabis industry?
I feel like Jay-Z should have did it a long time ago. I feel like the only reason that Jay-Z hadn't stepped into the cannabis industry earlier is because he was trying to get his image on point before he finally stepped in. People forget that the reason that there's a bunch of African countries right now that have water is because Jay-Z and Beyonce went over there and ran irrigation systems into those African countries. You're going to forget that when Lil Wayne was dealing with his problem with Birdman, Jay-Z was the one who stepped in and decided to try to help him bail out for no money. And Lil Wayne will tell you right now that Jay-Z wasn't looking for no money. I'm not saying he wasn't looking for no money because to sign an artist like Lil Wayne, you're looking to make some kind of income. But he was more worried about the well-being of Lil Wayne. When 21 Savage got into it with the with being deported, it was Jay-Z who sent the lawyer. When Kodak Black got into trouble, it was Jay-Z who sent them. So I feel like Jay-Z was just trying to clean his image up to the point that it didn't matter if he stepped into the cannabis industry or not. His name can't be tarnished at this point. Now, had he got into the cannabis industry a long time ago before he did all of this shit, and you're still going to get niggas today that's still going to say that, I don't like that Jay-Z all of a sudden now wants to get into the cannabis industry and all that. Bruh, cut it out. Cut it out. He's making jobs for strictly black people. And that's what Jay-Z is doing. And I love it. What do you think about it? Now I need your opinion on it. I'm gonna go mute, and I want to hear your opinion about it.
My opinion about it, I love it. Show a positive light on cannabis, just like how Mike Tyson's doing it right now. He has his own town. Can you believe that? A whole town that's going to be ran off that. That's going to be generating that from that year round. So everybody that lives there is basically living by selling cannabis. So I believe that for years to come, because man, Jay-Z is the top of
Yeah,
the line. I checked out the flower. I checked out the pre-rolls. I checked out the presentation. I checked out the storefront they were trying to that they're gonna do, and the way they're gonna go global once all of this connects. That's gonna be crazy. That's very smart, man.
major.
That's like major. It's like past major, man. It's prolific, man.
But I feel
It's
like he had to make sure he had the right image before he jumped into that. The same way that Mike
that's
Tyson, the
true.
reason, yeah, I feel like he just had the right image. Yo, 813, take this over real quick. I just got to make a quick bathroom run, so go ahead and take this
All
over real quick. Keep talking about what you're talking about. I'll jump right back in. Give me 1 second.
all right then, bet. But yeah, I believe that there's a piece for everybody in here, you know. And I believe that everybody has a chance to get more than what they need out of this, man. If you want to grow, if you want to breed, you want to clone, you know, just do it. Just be the best at what you want to be the best at. Like find your niche in this game and run with that. Like nobody can tell you no. You know, you have to do it yourself. You have to show yourself that you have the confidence to do what you need to do to get you ahead in this game. Oh, I need my lighter. But anybody got any questions?
Okay, I'm back. My bad. What'd you just say?
Oh no, I was just asking the room if they had any questions.
Yeah, I love the fact that Jay-Z is finally getting into the cannabis industry. He probably would have did it a little earlier had it not had such a bad name compared to all of the other companies that he's attached to, considering he got an alcohol company. You don't really want to have a company that sells alcohol, then you also want to get into the cannabis industry because they don't go hand in hand. They're almost opposing because cannabis sells more than corn. Cannabis sells more than anything in the United States. There's not an
It does.
agricultural crop that we have in the United States that outsells the cannabis in just California. Like we don't even have to talk about another state. Strictly in California, they sell more cannabis than they do any of the agricultural crops in the United States. So he'd have been stupid not to get into it. But I love the fact that he did because I know he's not going to attach his name to anything that is going to downgrade his image. It would be stupid to get to the billionaire status to turn around and now downgrade your name. That would be the dumbest thing you could ever do. So I love the fact that Jay-Z is finally getting into the cannabis industry. I feel like he should have did it a little bit earlier, but I understand why he didn't do it a little bit earlier. I understand 100%.
Right. Kane Owens said, um, I feel bad for people that still buying from large seed banks. I can't fuck with the seed banks, man. They they don't never
Talk
want
about
to
it.
pay the breeder. I mean, just like how you said earlier, and you put it perfectly, man. If you're gonna breed your seeds, you don't need nobody to sell them for you. Just because they're supposed to be a well-known seed bank, if something happened, just like you said, people can't get in touch with you. You don't know if they bought it from there. They could have bought it. Somebody could have bought it from there, and they could have switched out the seeds, like you said, and sold a pack to him. Oh yeah, I have an open pack of so and so. Okay, how much you want for it? Give me 300. All right, nothing pop. He ain't gonna be mad at him because you look at his page, he got a bunch of plants. You
Facts.
would be mad at the breeder.
Facts.
But
But you can't blame the breeder when the breeder sent the seeds to the seed bank and the seed bank sold it to you. I don't like a middleman between my products. Like, I'm a holistic healer. You don't have to go through another holistic healer in order to be able to get to my products. You can hit me up directly and be able to get my products. I don't have to go through a third party. Like, I always wondered why seed companies need to send their seeds to another seed company in order to sell their seeds.
that's true.
I never
That's true.
understood
I
that.
mean, I understand. I mean, I could understand if, like, let's say if you know, say you're having health issues and there's
Okay.
nobody, you don't have no significant other with you, you know, kids, nobody around. Okay, yeah, I could understand that. That's somebody managing your estate. But if you're healthy, alkaline like us, and you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, ain't no way you can't sell your stuff. You are your best advertisement. You know what I'm saying? You're growing the plant, you're smoking the plant, they see the flower. That's all people want to see. They don't even care about veg. They just want to see flower, flower, flower.
Can I comment on something real quick?
Oh, of course you can. Jump in.
Blue Goblin says you're missing out on a bigger market without a seed bank. Yo, look, where would the seed bank be without the breeders? There would be no seed bank without the breeders. The only reason that the seed bank even exists in the fucking first place is the fact that there's breeders. And the breeders have a big enough name that whenever they release their gear, they have to go to a specific seed bank in order to be able to get their gear, or 4 or 5 seed banks to be able to get their gear. Do you think that when Runts sold those $700 packs of seeds that they just dropped, that they needed a seed bank to sell them through? They sold out in 10 minutes, $700 a pack. Now the seeds are going for $1,200 a pack. I just gifted the homie Northside Doja the ice cream cake because he told me that the ice cream cake seeds are now selling for $1,200 for a pack, being auctioned off at $1,200 a pack. When I bought it from Seed Junkie, before Seed Junkie started going through a seed bank, Seed Junkie sold me those ice cream cakes for $130 for a pack, shipping included. So the only reason that the seed bank even exists is because of the breeders. The breeders just don't know their worth. So they're going through these seed banks assuming that they're going to make more money. But Blue Goblin, do you understand how much a seed company makes off of each pack of seeds? They have to sell these seeds to the seed company for like $30 a pack. Now I'm saying because they want a bulk deal because you're going to send them a whole bunch of them. So the seed banks is getting them at like $30 a pack. Then they have the option of you buying 6 seeds at
Below
$10, $15 a fucking seed. Now I'm saying, or you could buy a single seed for $15. So they taking it's basically street hustle again. They taking the zips and they busting down the zips into 0.7 dimes and they reselling it back to you, making $4.80 a zip, and you sold them the zip for $120. So you literally cutting yourself short every time that you got to deal with these seed banks. There would be no seed banks without the breeders. There wouldn't be none. What would a seed bank need if they didn't have a breeder? The breeders need to sell their own seeds, because if you're comfortable with the seed bank not getting caught selling your seeds, you need to be comfortable with you not getting caught selling your own fucking seeds. If you sell your seeds for $150 a pack, the only thing coming out of it is 8% tax. Is 8% tax compared to you having to give it to the seed banks at $30, $40 a pack, and they selling your seeds at $220 a pack. You missing out on a whole $140 per pack. So if you sent them 100 packs, 140, you missing out on almost 14 bands. What are you doing? What are you doing? You bugging. You bugging. You missing out on hella racks just because you scared to take the risk that the seed bank is taking. Now, what happens if the seed bank gets knocked with all your stock? Now you have to go back to the drawing board and create all of these seeds again. And now what are you going to do? Find another seed bank to sell them through? That's cornball shit. Then remember, most of these seed banks are overseas. So if I go to a seed bank and I see that the money for the amount of seeds that I want to buy is in euros, bro, I don't want to buy those seeds, because now I got to convert it into American dollars. And then once I convert it into American dollars, I got to pray that this seed bank over in Holland accepts the debit card that I'm using. And if it doesn't accept the debit card that I'm using, I'm not even able to purchase your seeds. Do you know how many times I've went through this with Attitude Seed Bank? Do you know how many times I've went through this with the rest of the seed banks when you order in from Holland and they don't accept your card? So you got to keep going to Walmart and the rest of these companies and buying 30 different cards to try to find one that the seed bank will accept. And then the main one that they accept is linked to your bank account. What grower wants to buy seeds and the record of the seeds that you're buying is linked to your fucking bank account? The seed company isn't linked to their bank account. Do you think that Attitude Seed Company has a bank account under Attitude Seed Company and that's where the money is going? So if Attitude ever gets fucked up, that Attitude lose all the money that they have in their bank account? No. No, but they want me to be able to link the card that's linked to my bank account in order to buy seeds from them. I can't use the prepaid cards that I would normally use. I don't like that. I don't like that. 813, you could speak on that.
Yeah, I shot with a seed bank one time, and when they came to me with half of a like a piece of their um logo, I mean, I was like, what the fuck is this
Mm-hmm.
shit? I was like, oh hell no, man. Then I started looking into it. I was like, man, I'd rather get it from the person that bred it than get it from a company that's beating them over the head. And then the person that I start getting seeds from, they were fighting the seed company for their money. And I'm like, dang, they didn't pay you. They was like,
Bro,
nah. They don't,
bro,
they give it to them at this
yes.
price, and
And
then
they
yeah,
won't pay you until your
and then
seeds sell out.
until they make them seed up. Yep.
Loki Grow went through this when he was dealing with Empire Breeding Company. And again, this is how you know that this is the Real Talk Cannabis podcast. Drop me a thumbs up or thumbs down. Share this over into your IG page. Get some people involved in this conversation. When Loki Grow was dealing with Empire Breeding Company, he had, I think, like 1 or 2 packs of seeds left. And they're telling him, well, since we have these 1 or 2 packs of seeds left, we got to wait for them to sell in order to give you your money. Like my nigga, you done sold 300 packs of mine. You can't cash out on the last 2 packs that I have left with you.
Because they don't took your money and done already got it flipping in all 30 different ways,
Boom.
trying to get their sales correct for taking L's and other bullshit that they done did in dumbass endeavors and shit, man. Listen, man, that's all this shit be about. Once you have a middleman, that motherfucker is flipping
Like
shit. That's
imagine
all.
a seed bank that gets seeds sent to them from companies that the seeds don't sell much. Now all of a sudden, your seeds is selling off the chart, but they can't cash you out until they recoup off of a bunch of seeds that they paid for another company that their seeds aren't selling as much. So now you won't get your check until they finish selling out all the seeds that they have in stock, but it might take them 6 months to a year to outsell the rest of the shit that they have in stock. I don't have time for that. If you sold all of my shit, I want my check now. Like yesterday afternoon because you forgot the day before. That's when I want my money. Yesterday afternoon, because you forgot to send it the day before. If you sold out of all of my shit, I don't care about what other bad business ventures that you done made. That has nothing to do with me. Cash me out on mine. And that's why another reason I like Copycat Genetics, because not only does he breed his own seeds, he created his own website to be able to get you the seeds directly. That's something I do like. Even if you get in booth, you getting it from the motherfucker who created it. That I do like. That I do like. I ain't got no problem with that. But look, we ain't gonna keep y'all all night. Thank y'all for tuning in. We're gonna do plenty of more podcasts. Me and 813 will always be on here. We're gonna have Frosty McNasty on here. We're gonna have Grow God on here. We're gonna get No Limit in here. We're gonna get my son sleeping. We're gonna get a whole bunch of different people in here. So yeah, make sure that y'all stay tuned. Drop me a like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Stay tuned for every time that we go live because it will always be real talk. We don't owe nobody nothing. We don't owe nobody any type of explanations or any type of verifications. We're not sponsored by anybody. And even if we was sponsored by somebody, the sponsor might not like us because we're going to keep it real talk. So get over to Beast Coast Grower 420 over on Instagram, Beast Coast Grower 420 on YouTube, and make sure that you subscribe. Make sure that you follow. Make sure that you like. 813, I'll let you go ahead and give them your information.
There we go. Yes, follow me on 813 Genetics on Instagram and 813 Genetics on YouTube. Let's get these followers up and let's get this knowledge passed out because it's going to be nothing but the real. Anything you ask will be answered. one way or another, you're gonna get the honest to God truth. Put it that way.
That's a fact, and we're gonna keep it like that. So you